Good morning, traders. Who's ready to duck, weave, and maybe throw a little uppercut into this market as we go ahead and battle like we always do right here on live trading? Hit the like if you guys are excited about today's intro. Let's see what we got. Money's back. I'm ready. Let's see what we can make today.
Winner, winner, chicken dinner. Those words have been dancing around my head all night. Oh, it's Vegas law, that phrase.
Kiana.
Fisher.
Joy.
Joe. Cards drawn are the past, ones to come are future.
And the best part? It's beatable.
Guess what, traders? Not late today, ready to get into it, feeling a little bit more positive, at least for what's going on in the hurricane, hearing that it's downgraded to a tropical storm pretty fast from, almost, well, it did essentially almost a level 5 hurricane. So glad to hear that news. That's going to at least bring a little bit of some energy in. I do have a lot of family in Florida, so happy to hear that everybody's safe. And if you are going through a tough time right now, maybe without power and somehow listening to the show, glad to hear you guys aren't in, too grave danger out there anymore as you're seeing the hurricane downgrade here. So let's go ahead. Let's bring on Ryan here. At least that seems like some positive news to come on into today. So I'm ready. I'm ready to see what happens in this market. I think a lot of it's going to depend on what happens with Apple today. And that's going to be kind of the indicator or the bogey I'll throw out there. Watch Apple. Do we get back above the 147 or do we cut through the 145? If Apple starts crushing down, be careful in this market.
Yeah, and Mitch, I'd just like to reiterate what you said. I hope that your family is doing okay, as well as any family members for anyone in the chat here. Hope everyone in Florida is doing okay and the surrounding area. Mitch, it sounds like you're doing better. Your connection seems pretty good right now, so hopefully that keeps going. Creep Zinga is what Mitch is showing you right there.
Yeah, this is for the creeps. This is special for the roadmap, our NFT fans on out there. So if you guys want to check this out, you guys can go to swag.benzinga.com and you guys can get your own. I even got the pants on, but I don't want to go into all that, but I'll do it. What the hell? It's our swag.
I don't want to go into all that. Wait a sec. I'll do it. Here you go. Let me stand in my chair. You can check out my pants.
Hey, look at that NFT swag. The roadmap, baby. We rocking today. We rocking. Let's go. Let's go. All right, ready to get into the market. Let's take a look. I'll go to first Ryan's stock to see what he's looking at. And I just remembered it's Thursday today, so we do not have Zunaid with us today. He's actually on a travel. He's probably in the air right now. So, us non-first class flyers, we don't get to take days off here. We're here to the battles here. So, Ryan, what are you seeing out in the market? I will be right back. I'm just going to grab some orange juice, and I'll give you guys what I'm seeing.
Sir, sounds good. I do appreciate the cheap shot at Zunaid when he's not here. That's fun. So
take him when you can get him.
Exactly. We'll see if he recognized that. All right. First stock on the list here is going to be Sober. They had an offering yesterday, which sunk the stock after hours. So we actually had multiple opportunities to trade Sober yesterday. Pretty good expanding volume. This is the risk of holding some of these small cap momos overnight. A lot of the time, especially if the company is in dire need of cash, you're going to see an offering. You're going to see an event like that. It's going to drag the stock down. Now, sometimes these stocks tend to bounce after their offering, so we'll see if that's what happened. If that's what happens here with Sober. Pre-market not looking good. Really, really muted volumes, and basically what we're going to be looking for on this play is if those volumes pick up in the regular session. So wanted to start off with this one. This is the danger. of holding some of these stocks overnight after they've had big runs. This is one of the reasons why we day trade these so often, and I'm not really concerned about holding something overnight trying to get another point or 50 cents or whatever it might be. So just keep that in mind. We will keep this on the back burner just in case it ignites again. Now, some of the other names that we have here going straight from the movers tool, I think maybe the first thing that we should mention is that we had employment data this morning. That was the unemployment data, excuse me, that was under the estimate. So traditionally, that would be good news. But as the Fed has told us that they need to see bad unemployment data for them to stop considering raising rates, we haven't got that yet. We had Evans say that the funds rate should be at the correct spot in March. So he's giving you some kind of time frame. Don't expect today's print to show anything. So I think you're seeing or we don't expect today's print to change anything, excuse me. So I think you're seeing the market trading lower here today. So we're going to watch all that. That's going to affect some of the larger stocks. Like Mitch said, watch Apple as your bellwether. That should give you an idea of what the market sentiment is. Now, as far as some of these smaller caps here, we do have some stocks in play here. First one here is going to be BBAI. We do have a catalyst here this morning. So Big Bear AR shares are trading higher after the company announced it was awarded a $14.8 million U.S. Army Global Force Information Management System contract. So a nice government contract there. That's causing the shares to spike here. We did put in a high. It looks like we printed a high of 182. Let's call that 180 to 182. And it looks like we're kind of giving back some of that move here. So decent volume in this name here so far, which is good to see. One of the things that we want to see is we want to make sure that it finds some type of footing. I wouldn't be surprised if this challenged some of the 155 lows, maybe even the 150 low once the market opens up. Remember, we've seen some of these when they're up in the pre-market. That doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be up in the regular session. So let's not buy this out of the gate. Let's wait and make sure that it sets up here first. One of the things that I'd like to see is a move through 175. I think that a move through 175 tells us that the high of day test is coming. And if we're able to break that high of day, we're likely going to pop and we should be able to capture that move. So I'll be watching this 175 level. I'm going to Wint, W-I-N-T. This is Windtree. They're up here. They've kind of bled back. They do have a catalyst here. This is a stock under $1, so I'm going to ignore it, but it's worth mentioning that it is up here. SNTI is another one here that's up. We do have a catalyst on SNTI as well. We have a range carved out here in the pre-market, and I'm kind of waiting for the rest of this range to form. So we only have 18 now minutes left here before the opening bell. I want to see where we get back to. I want to see if we cross this 175 level. I suspect if we have any type of upside momentum and continued volume, we will probably challenge this 2 area here today on an upside move, but we want to confirm that we're going to get that upside move. We don't just want to guess. All right. Next here, there's another penny stock on the list here. Again, same deal here. I'm not going to trade it. This one's already pretty much leaked back all of its gains. Next one here is going to be AXLA. This is Excella Health. This stock also carving out a nice range here. The catalyst here is Excella Health shares are trading higher after the company announced interim data for its phase 2 impact study of AXA1125 in non-alcoholic. So what is that? Steatohepatitis. Not even sure exactly what that is, but here we are holding the 2 level. I think one of the things that we're going to look for here, glad that we're holding 2 at the moment, but one of the things I'd like to clear out here is this consolidation area. We did have some pretty big volume on this bounce from 188 all the way up to 225. So that range looks pretty good. I'd love to see this area get taken out as we cross through 207 and 210 on our way to some of those highs. So we're going to watch this one here as well. CEI is another one of those penny stocks, former Zach Morris play. That's up here this morning. Not going to trade that. Same deal with ACRX. And then some of the last 2 that you're going to see here is some of our short instruments, some of our short ETF instruments are also on this list. So we're going to be watching the market. We're going to be watching Apple as kind of a market proxy. Taking a look at our VIX here. We're just under 32. you, one of the things that I said yesterday after our bear market rally that we had is that it's likely that today is going to be a down day, and that's exactly what we're getting. So let's see how this plays out. Let's see if we change the sentiment, if we bounce at all, if we hold, we'll try to capture some of that movement.
All right, let's get into it. Here's got my charts on up here. I'm looking at Apple like I talked to you guys today. I think we just watch Apple. A lot of it is going to be dependent. I don't think the market can hold up 2 days in a row with Apple being down. This is not a common trend that we see. We normally see what? High correlation with the market with Apple. So let's see what happens today if you see the takeout on the downside. Why could we get downside action in Apple? Well, today we got another another negative catalyst. We got Bank of America stepping up and downgrading Apple from buy to neutral. And so they also expected that in next year, they expect negative earnings revisions driven by weaker consumer demand. So they're also taking the shot that Bloomberg is taking, saying that the iPhones will have that lower demand. Now, the only thing that I think we need that we don't want to hear, of course, is Apple come out with a pre-announcement, right? If Apple pre-announces and they say they have lower demand out there, well, watch out. This market would head down further. So we'll continue to watch today. We did get some economic data to come on out, and that's when we started chopping right back down to the downside. So I'll just go through those numbers really quickly. We got continuing jobless claims at 1.347 million versus 1.388 million. Prior was at 1.37. GDP at -6 versus the estimate, right on point, in line. But that's a really negative, right? To me, I don't know about you, Ryan, but the third consecutive negative GDP report, how could you not say we're in a recession, right?
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, Mitch, I said it after the second one, so no change here on my part. After the second consecutive negative print, I should clarify. So no change here on my part. Again, I am in the camp that I think that we're going lower. I think that we have too many headwinds, so no change here.
Now, I will kind of give you guys, my internet's coming in and out today. So if you guys hear me chopping up, just let me know, okay? Let's take a look at different areas that I'm watching today. So I've talked about coal a couple of days. Look at that move yesterday in BTU. I wish I would have been here, guys, to trade that move yesterday, but it was an 11% day for BTU. Was one of my top watch stocks, another stock that I gave on at the close. So if you guys don't watch at the close, a lot of the times that's where I'm giving my outlooks for the next day, because it's right at the close, right? That's when I usually try to start looking at what I think could happen the next day. AMR was another stock that was given on at the close for coal stocks, and look how that one did, another 12% day. So take a look at these coal players. They're definitely getting some lift, some relative strength. It's been about a 3-day move. Let's see if BTU can make a 4-day move. And look how much it's moved in just 3 days. It's been a monster push back up. We'll see what happens in BTU today. Will it get a pullback towards 23? It could happen. So let's see what happens. Alcoa, another one that's getting some lift this morning. I tried to find news on why this move was happening, but I could not. And so if you guys can find some news, definitely let me know. I did do some research. I looked around. I could not find a reason why it was up. Also, you got the CENX that's up significantly too. So aluminum play is getting some lift. So that's why I'm calling out the basic materials sector overall. Keep that in your eyes today. See what happens in basic materials. Will we continue to get a little bit of a bounce back in these? I know that silver and gold will depend a lot on the dollar index. So if you want to trade silver or gold, you can just look at the dollar. Another way that you guys can look at the dollar if it's going down, and I haven't traded this before, but I found it yesterday as I did some more research, was UDN. So UDN is a bearish fund for the dollar, right? So if you're expecting the dollar to come down, you'd be trading this to the bullish side. So one of the things that you can watch today is, let's say if you don't have DXY, right? Like on your charting, I can't pull up DXY here on my TC2000. I'd have to do it somewhere else and be a little bit confused. So I'll just watch UDN. If UDN's going up, I'll expect the dollar index to be coming down. Another thing is, of course, watch the TLT. How that reacts is going to also give you a little bit of a sign how we should trade today. All right, now what came back yesterday? A lot of energy names. So oil names really getting a little bit of a bounce back. Oxy, of course. What does Warren do? the stock goes back to his average price point, he buys some more. So definitely take a look at that. We'll see what happens in these oil names if they can come back on up. I'm still happy that I sold my 64.50 through the 63 mark, because I mean, it would have been tough to hold to 58 for it to come back. So at least I'm okay with how I executed on that trade. But at the same time, I was just a little early to the gun. Should have been thinking about, where's Warren keep buying? He keeps buying at the 57, 58 area. So we'll see if we ever get back there. But it seems like he just keeps loading up into that area. And that's why we're seeing a little bit of a bounce there in Oxy. And another reason why you didn't see it break through that level, right? I mean, if he's filling in 6 million shares, he's just like back. Every time it comes down, he takes a little bit more, takes a little bit more, takes a little bit more. Essentially putting kind of like a cushion on the support. And if you're cushioned on that support and you just keep filling in, the algo is just like, okay, we'll take a little bit here, we'll take a little bit there. And he keeps holding up the stock. So we'll see what happens on Oxy. This doesn't look like it wants to really truly down. And even when it has kind of like a gap down, we get more sideways action than downside action in Oxy. So something to keep on watch. Another area to keep on watch today, we did see BBBY horrible earnings. So don't expect anything from the kind of the meme stocks. But there's a lot of people starting to battle on Rumble, right? Rumble got a little bit of a spike on a mention that Elon Musk will be on one of the shows for Rumble. So keep on watch. We'll see what happens in Rumble today. Could get the lift. A 13 breakout through the 1350 is what you'd be looking for in that type of stock for a big breakout. All right. Solar stocks have also been super strong. So if you're taking a look at that, First Solar got another upgrade. So maybe SEDG gets a little bit of a bounce today, as it's been kind of heading straight back down after it made a nice little push. And it's on a monthly support. It's really close towards the kind of the 241 area. And so I'm wondering, is this the area where you start seeing the bounce? In the last day, we did go down towards the 245 area. So I'm going to look for a push above the 258 with also, of course, the industry showing me green, right? For solar going up, EMPH going up. That'll be a good outlook for solar. All right, time to catch up with the chat. It does look like my internet's a little bit in and outy. I can see it here. Some instability on the trend.
You are breaking up a little bit intermittently, but considering it's really not all that bad. So you're hanging in there, Mitch. You're doing well with what's going on.
Yeah, I know TC2000 is a little bit older than what most people use, and maybe it's a little bit of an older charting service. But I'll tell you right now, I mean, you guys can battle with me on this, but aesthetically wise, I think still TC2000 is the best looking charts. But that's just what I think. I mean, and that's what you want to do. You want to kind of use
personal preference, man. You want to use what's comfortable for you. That's the bottom line.
And then at the end of the day, there isn't many places, or let's just be honest, there isn't a place that I have found that I can do this much industry analysis on one page. And that's definitely something that if you guys can find something that can do that, let me know, because really, I think TC is the only one that has this right now. A big part of that. Why? Because they make their own index. So like these IX 1840, that's just all the stocks that are in biotechs. And what I like about their index is they're not doing kind of like ETFs giving you weighted outlooks, right? Where you got to be like, oh, well, is this really just going up because Apple's 20% of the ETF, right? So that's why I use these indexes, and I feel like it gives me an advantage versus people that are just staring at, like, let's say XLU, right? The select, because this is more of a weighted outlook. So to me, I don't really like to pay attention too much to those. I'd rather pay attention to an index that's not so weighted, so I can just pay attention to what's moving. All right. Yeah, the audio might be in and out. My video might be choppy. I'm sorry about that, guys. Can't do nothing about that unless you guys just don't want me on. Then I could always just,
Mitch, have you considered fighting the hurricane/tropical storm, since it's messing with your internet? Just go out there and fight it.
I mean, I already said we don't go outside in hurricanes, Ryan.
Yeah,
so I'm not going to go back towards that advice.
Someone sent me a video yesterday of a bunch of people trying to go into the water out in a hurricane, and my response was, Mitch said not to do that.
I knew it. I knew they would do it. There were a whole bunch of these guys going out there with
I
their
knew they would do
surfboards,
it.
thinking they're surfers. So leave that for the Hawaii guys. They're used to the big waves. You think you're a big surfer? You go out there in a 12-foot wave, and you've never dealt with a 12-foot wave before? Watch out. It's not going to be a fun
Mitch,
ending.
I love it. Mitch just going off. That's that's good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, if you're like some guy from
Mitch
Hawaii,
rant.
I mean, I don't blame you. I mean, you're like 12-foot waves. This is a good day in Maui. Let's do it. But hey, I mean, if you're more kind of a Florida guy that you're like, you go surfing in, 3 to 6 foot waves and you're like, man, those 6-footers. Well, you probably found out. Not the place you
Kyle
want to be.
saying, speaking of the hurricane, I saw where a weatherman almost got blown away on live TV.
Why you don't go outside?
They're still sending weathermen into the middle of storms to report on TV. So
I always wondered about that job. It'd be really interesting. Let's just say I would take definitely a life insurance policy. But it's tough. It's tough to be one of those guys out there. Wow, you guys see this win? All right, let's get into the market. We got about 6 minutes to the bell. If you guys got any tickers, throw them up in the chat. I'm gonna get ready. I was in a direct path, Charlotte County. Yeah, it's tough. I'm glad to hear that you're here at least, A1. So it's good to see you in the chat. And if you have power and you're able to hang out with us today, well, power to you. Let's get to it. Let's see what we can trade. Will the uranium names continue making moves? You can see my internet's lagging. You saw my chart was lagging there. TC doesn't usually lag for me. Like charts usually open up in less than a second. So definitely my internet's being a little bit iffy. So what I'm going to do is be smart. And already I'm considering anything that I could normally go into, I'm half sizing. I'm not going to go and open up a lot of risk when my internet's giving me issues. Another thing to kind of think about, right? Understand what your environment's like is important. Maybe you're just, feeling a little bit where you're not so open-minded and sharp in the morning. Those are days that we want to take a step back. The days that we're feeling sharp, everything's going well for us, we're in pure execution mode. That's what I call it. And when you're in pure execution mode, that's when you can really go ahead and be into what they call, or Mark Douglas calls it, in the zone, right? We all want to be in the zone when we trade. Sometimes we're going to be in the zone. Something's going to knock us out. Well, it could be for very much me. I'm feeling in the zone. Now this internet issue is getting me a little bit concerned. I'm going to be more focused on being risk adverse. But there's certain times when you're feeling in the zone, you're looking at setups as the trading happens, you're making all the right calls. That's when we want to press the gas pedal and make our money. First Solar did get an upgrade today. I did get one, and I'll give you who it's from. It's Evercore ISI Group upgrading First Solar to outperform. And an easy way that you guys can always keep up with upgrades, with earnings, or pretty much any news, right? It's going to be with Benzinga Pro, of course. Ryan, show them that calendar there feature if you want to maybe FSLR to show upgrades and downgrades and why you would want to use Benzinga Pro, because it makes it truly easy to look at these upgrades and downgrades all in one page. All you got to do is open it up and boom, you're going to be able to see all the analysts. And we even got success rate on there, right?
Yeah, so there's a number of good things. I have a dedicated workspace for just a calendar tool. Sometimes if I click on a ticker, it'll open up a details tool so I can see a chart here. But I use this calendar all of the time. I actually currently had it on the economics calendar. I like to sort it by importance so I can review the most important economic events. It's also worth noting you can filter for only US or any combination that you want. But what Mitch was saying, there's a whole bunch of different calendars that we have in the tool. So the calendar that we have is not just for one or two things. There's actually 14 different calendars in here. And as Mitch mentioned, one of them here is analyst ratings. So let's just take your example here, Mitch. I hope you're not setting me up. If I just type in any ticker at the top, it will go ahead and filter the calendar for that ticker. So here you see for the date range that I have, which is today, we have Evercore ISI upgrading to an outperform and raising the price target. So this is definitely going to be a very, very easy way for you to track analyst ratings. One of the other things is if you have like a watch list of your positions or the main stocks that you watch on a regular basis, you can also use the watch list filter, right? I'm just going to go ahead and find my main watch list here. Here we go. So here are the upgrades and downgrades for the stocks that are on my watch list. You can see we actually had conflicting Apple analyst ratings here, right? We had Rosenblatt upgrade and put it to a buy, and we had Bank of America downgrading and putting it to neutral. So we had a lower price target, raised price target, conflicting analyst reports. We will see, but this is how you can actually keep track of all of them. And the other thing that's worth noting, Mitch kind of hit on it, there's a great earnings calendar in here. So if you want to keep track of earnings or what earnings are coming out during a particular day or week, you can do that here in Pro 2. Don't forget, you can actually try this for 2 weeks without giving any payment details at all. Literally 100% free to test the essential version of Pro, including the unusual options add-on. So we have a link in the description below. If you're interested in trying this out for yourself, go ahead and do that. You get 2 weeks free. Can't beat it.
All right, we'll see what happens today. There's definitely going to be a battle here. And
1 minute.
Take a look to see if the market is going to get above
Actually,
the
8 seconds.
370 or the 363 on the downside. One thing that I pointed to, and I didn't even point to this yesterday, but the day prior was the 1 hour range sideways action, right? We got to be careful when we're in these 1 hour ranges. This is easily how we just get chopped up. The bulls we're leaning towards the bull. Then, of course, it comes back halfway. So we'll see what happens today. Do we get above the 371? Or do we get below the 363? All things to look for. All right, Apple heading down here out the gates there. That shows me a little bit of concern for the market. Remember, a break of that 145.13. I don't see the market holding on today. But like always, you guys make your own investment decisions. Let's get to it and see what we can do today.
BBAI here. One of the things that I said is we want to wait and see how this actually shakes out. Early here, first move here is up, went right through the VWAP at 167, trying to clear out a seller wall here at 172. I have a high print on the day at 181. 182 was your pre-market high there. I actually don't see much stock traded there. So 181, 182, that's going to be your high of the day. We're trying to get over 172 as your key level here. They're right back to it. Looks like there's another refresh. Oh, they cleared them out. So 173. We'll see if we grind any higher here. Still loading up some more stock there at 172 on BBAI.
Rumble trying to get through that 1330, just spiked up right before the open, got to 1325, then 1330s, pulling back towards 13 here. I'd look for maybe the 1290s and maybe risking off the 1270s here. Looking for it to pull back here, but I needed to come towards the 1290s. I wouldn't want to get into 13 and then get stopped out on a 1280 move. So let's see if we can get it here on this little pullback.
Check it out. Zunaid joining us from the air in the chat. What a guy, my man.
I told
Zunaid,
you.
You're doing well. That's that first class ticket, huh, Mitch?
Hope he didn't catch my comment earlier, but maybe he did. He was in the first class seat.
He was lurking. He was lurking.
All right, trying to go ahead and see the spread right now in rum is about 1286 to 1276. So I'm trying to get in here, maybe at the 1285, 80 level here. I just want the offer to come down.
Ticker XFOR, by the way. We had a nice little grind up yesterday on this. Day highs yesterday, 149, currently at 147. So see if we get any type of juice from popping above that. BBAI still trying to take down that 172 level.
Here.
We're hanging out here right at the VWAP.
Just got 1280s there. It dropped really quickly on the offer side there. So just got to be careful. It was about a 5-cent drop. Going to risk off the 1262. So we've got about 18-cent risk here for a move back up to 1330s, which would be a 50-cent move. So I like it because it's the risk to reward here. Let's see if it works, and we'll see if it gets a little bounce.
SPY still pulling here out of the open, so be careful.
It's pulling down, right?
Say again.
It's on the downside action.
We're pulling to the downside here still.
Yeah, a lot of that is probably Apple coming down, right? Well, Apple found a little bounce at 145.80, so
Apple's
it was
trying to
coming down.
bounce here.
It's trying. I'm keeping an eye on that Apple. I think it's very important for the market today. Finding a little bit of a bounce there. Let's go back to run.
BBAI back to that
What's up?
172 spot, took it out. 173 ask now. So, okay, so, and they filled up 172 yet again. So definitely someone refresh selling that 172. Clearly a spot we've had almost 1.4 million shares traded at the 172 level on BBAI. I was checking out the relative volume scanner here. Nothing else yet really piquing the interest here. For BBAI, it's good to see us try to hit that 172 level. Realistically, though, we're going to need to push a little bit higher here, maybe 175-ish. Currently right at VWAP again at 168.
Nice reversal candle off those lows around the 1263 level. Now let's see if it can really start pushing back through the 13. That's what we want to see. Almost an immediate move back. I don't want it to be hanging out down here. I want it to make a move. We'll see what happens.
Let's check on that.
Giving Apple way too much credit to dictate the market. Well, I mean, it's the high correlation. I'm not really giving Apple too much credit. Apple gives itself the credit, right? If you look at the correlation with the market, that's going to be very high. It's one of the highest correlated with the market. So I'm all about relationships. And so that's why I'm pulling out that relationship for you, Bo. Doesn't mean that you have to watch Apple. You could watch the market, right?
This HPCO trading up here pretty strong. Not sure what's going on here. Whole bunch of form uploads. I don't see anything else moving here though. HPCO right through 3 here. Not in this. Don't have this lined up. So
all sectors down from the open, right? And so I always pay attention to that. The weakest one is consumer cyclical. Of course, the strongest one yesterday. So just to kind of put a warning sign there. Energy also down, one of the strongest ones yesterday. Basic materials is also down right now. Silver down. Gold down. Tells me what? The dollar probably down. UDN, probably a good play for the upside move. Let's see what happens today. That can really start moving towards the upside. But it's just going to be a battle. Let's see what happens with the dollar. Let's see what happens. Today I'm going to be trying to be, I'm playing rum right now, but I'm being smart with it. TLT is going up. That's a good sign there for the market. Let's see what happens if the TLT can continue that rise. We're about to get back above break even here for rum. Let's see if we can get that push towards 13. 13 is where we want to see the volume really spike and see that really just start driving through. We want to see it drive through 1330s. That's what we'll take first profit. Then we'll look for the big breakout. Let's see if we get it in rum.
I was going to say 1330 looks like your breakout level there if you're
100%.
able to clear that out. BBAI back up to that 172 spot. So it's really here. Let me pull it up here. Sorry, I'm watching it on a different screen. It's really still flirting with this level. It seems like it wants to break out, but I'm not gonna be fooled. I'm gonna wait till it actually confirms that instead of front running it. Again, like Mitch, probably having reduced size. Haven't taken a trade yet. Want to see some things shake out here. SPY still pulling at lows here today.
All right, we'll see what happens. DXY looking weak. Market should break out soon. Well, just keep an eye on it, right? And, we'll see if that relationship holds.
BBAI trying here.
Financial services keep coming down. One that I called from a while back there, and I still wish. I'm still kicking myself for being stopped out at the 39 on the firm. It's now down towards 1960s. Oh, man. One day when this company just blows up, I'm just going to be scratching my head like, Mitch, you kind of knew that one, man. Come on. Take your shots when you can.
So you know what I would compare this to? Do you remember when Beyond Meat first came out and it traded up to like $190?
Yeah, because I was there.
I had the exact same feeling that you did with Affirmed. But look at the chart. Look how long it took for that short thesis to actually play out the way that we knew it would. Look how long that took. This is one of the things. If you're early on your short, it may not work for you. You could be in a lot of pain. When I was thinking about playing bin short, Beyond Meat, it was using puts, obviously to give myself some level of protection. But again, just look how long it took for that to work out.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
It's tough. It's not easy.
All right, let's put the multiple charts here. I want to take a look at some multiple stocks here, not just one stock. So let's go ahead and put my rum here on the right-hand side, and I can put some other stocks in the middle here. Let's do the BTU outlook. How's that looking? A little bit of a pullback, right? I kind of expect this. Now it's starting to spike a little bit. This looks good here. BTU trying to keep battling here. Just keep your eyes on that. AMR is another one that I would watch there. Akoa, what happened with that? That was a really strong move this pre-market. I wanted to see if it was going to be able to hold, and you can see it's already pulling back significantly there. So not much there. Apple, how's it doing? Heading back down towards the 145.13s. If it breaks through there, watch out. We'll see what happens. SPY also in the red, right? That, at least from what I was looking at in the pre-market, not a bad way to look at it. Apple kind of leading here. We might need some music today. I agree with you, Hawaii. And maybe some Hawaii tunes might be the best, but we'll see.
ATXI,
tough.
Jay, ATXI does look interesting here. This is we're still trying to figure out a range here. One of the things that I'd really like to see here on ATXI is this move through 8, right? If we can clear out, the day before yesterday, we actually traded up to this 11 level. If we can take out yesterday's highs, we can start doing some work on this consolidation between 9 and 10. So that's one of the things that I'll be watching. This definitely looks interesting. BBAI here, this is the big pullback. Let me show you exactly what we're looking at. This is why I didn't want to front run this today. I looked all morning. It looked like it wanted to break out of this level all morning. 170 to 173. There's been sell walls here. They've taken them. They've refreshed them. They've taken them again. It looked like it wanted to go higher. It just doesn't have the strength. This is the pullback that you don't necessarily want to sit through. This is exactly why we didn't front run it. So we're going to wait for this one to set up. And we're going to keep an eye on some of the other stocks. I saw Mott's mentioned in the chat by Wissing. Looks like this has just been straight down from the open here. Do have a catalyst here. They're trading higher if the company is recognized as a sole source provider by the Veterans Health Administration. So it looks like it's trying to find some support there at 380, and Curl was as high as 5. We'll keep this one on watch too.
Out there on rum, out at the 1261s, just not going to battle with that. I could hang out here, but with the market kind of heading down like it is right now, I'm not going to battle here. I'd rather take a small loss here and then look to see what happens in the market, see if we're going to get a swing back. Apple going to take out the lows, Tesla going to take out the lows. It looks like it's going to be one of these days today.
Yep. Amazon near lows, Tyson at lows, Square at lows.
The water is coming on the boat, guys. It looks like it's coming on the boat right now. Tesla heading down, Apple heading down. These were the stocks that we can keep watch, right? These were the ones that were holding us up when we were rallying, or at least trying to hold the down move. Now they're heading down fast. I'd be looking for the SPY to do the same.
ADTX at highs here, really kind of pushing. Looks like it took out that 337 level and then kept pushing here. I'm a little late to this one.
All right, 5-day price trends with the market. What's doing not bad, right? So Merck is one of those with the 5-day price trend that's not too bad with the market. I'm trying to call out ones that actually are green on the day, because that's the hard part right now. There's a lot of things in the red, even that we're moving with the market. Like, let's say in Las Vegas Sands, right? Las Vegas Sands was one of those that was really strong, but look how it is now. It's just breaking down here. So even the stocks that were holding up with the market now breaking down a little bit here. Generac, clear example, right? So there you guys are seeing that turnaround there in the hurricane trade. And you got to close fast.
I'll be honest. I was just going to say, those hurricane trades, they go fast. I've been watching those for a number of years. I've not been terribly successful with them. Didn't try any of it this time around.
Yeah. I did on the competition account for Home Depot, but
I was going to say,
to
me, Mitch, that's interesting that you mentioned that, because to me, some of the better plays here are going to be places like Home Depot and Lowe's, right? There's going to be a lot of repair going on. I would expect those stores to do well. That's the way that I would, try to play it. That's the way I would justify it to myself, but I haven't taken any of those positions this time around.
Yeah, it was a really nice position for me yesterday. I didn't close it on the competition account. I was just letting it work. I'm not really even paying attention to that anymore. It's just too much of a struggle to be focusing on that. But you can see the SPY heading down here, taking out Apple, taking out that 145.13. Now
Those on the
you're
market
seeing that
all around.
there you're seeing that downside action. That's why I was going to take a look at Apple. I know that someone wanted to be like, why Apple? Well, because Apple held up yesterday, even though the market, was ripping up. Apple wasn't ripping up. It was just slowly trying to make up some of the losses. And then in the after hours, in the pre-market, we just started leaking. Apple, I'm concerned about it, because if Apple gives up and Tesla gives up, what is going to hold? I mean, look at this downside action in Tesla today, from 283s down to 278. It's not a good sign there. So if you're looking for shorts, or you're looking for how to play this, I'd take a look at SARK. I'd take a look at SOXX. Look at those just taking off. LabU, it's getting crushed right now. Look to see maybe we get a little reversal in these biotechs, right? This was a huge, strong area yesterday with all that Biogen news, right? And let's see what happens today on those stocks. Will we get a little bit of a lift? I'm looking at those biotechs to see if we can get a little bounce. But really, I think if you're shorting into kind of Nvidia, AMD getting crushed. Look at that. AMD now down to 65. It's really getting to the point where I'm going to be looking at AMD for an investment. That's going to be closer to 50, guys. I'll go ahead and I'll let you guys know the level that I'm looking at. If I can get AMD at 50, I'll start sizing in.
Sorry, Mitch, my water delivery is here and I didn't put the bottles out. So
not a worry. That's important.
Do that real quick.
Yeah, I mean, you can't go without water. That's a no-no right off the bat. SPY down to 363.16 fast, guys. We're looking like we might break that hourly range, right? I talked about this hourly range. Now let's see if we get some continuation here. We've made it here plenty of times. We even were here on kind of this Tuesday where we went down towards 361.20 and then reversed out of that. So let's see if we can break through that level now as we start breaking through this 363. Do we get through those kind of new lows that we were holding there? We didn't really close there, but let's see if we get through those levels now, the 361.28 level. And that would really be negative sign. That means we're heading towards 360. Let's see what happens today.
Aaron Bryan saying, Ryan, how do you trade with a cat? Mine keeps nuzzling up on my monitor and trying to sleep on the laptop. That's the pitfalls of doing it. Mine moves my monitor all the time. One pro tip I have for you, no hotkeys. Cats, for whatever reason, love keyboards. They have no idea what they're doing, but somehow they manage to press the most devastating key combination possible. So I would say you don't have hotkeys set up. That would be number one.
I'll say there's certain days you see Hendrix with me, right? You see Hendrix like all around here laying on my desk. There's certain days I kick him out. I say, no, Hendrix, you're just being annoying today. But hey, that's just how cats are going to be, right? They're the coolest animals, but they're also can be kind of those animals that you're just like, dude, can you just leave me alone today, bro?
They do things at their own pace. They run the show. They drive.
They love to call the shows. That's for sure. All right, guys, I'm gonna munch up. So you guys, I'll put myself on mute so you guys don't hear me munching. I won't do a Zunaid and give you the crinkles. But I'll be here, guys. Let's take a look at, do we get continued downside action here? The SPY caught a little bit of a bounce there right off the 363. Wouldn't you know it? Now let's see if we actually take this out or not, right? I mean, we did 3 5-minute candles down. So that's about 15-minute candle, right? Now we're getting into that next 15-minute candle. What's going to happen here? Do we come back and create a range, or do we break down? Let's see it. Ooh, Apple. Oh, not BTU. All right, battling too. Not being able to hold too much there. I'm looking to see if we can get a push towards 25. It's right off the VWAP now.
Mitch, I'm gonna drop for a second. Make sure everything's okay with this.
You're good. Take care. All right. Oxy back to VWAP. Let's take a look at it. Apple continuing down. Let's see that leg on the SPY. Do we pick a down hard side action here? All right, Oxy battling, trying to get back up above the 6150s. That's kind of the level that you're looking at right now on Oxy. Let's see what happens to that level. You can see it's kind of battling here. It got up there, pulled back hard, kind of give you that kind of V bottom look. Now it really needs to get up there and get through kind of the 6178. Let's see if we get that nice push. Of course, energy isn't up right now, but let's see how Gush is doing. Gush is in the red still. Look for Gush to maybe hold VWAP before I'd be looking at Oxy to the upside. But to each his own, right? Tom, I'll ask Ryan to see if there's a way to adjust that for you. Tom, I don't use too many of the movers tool because I have scanners here on the right-hand side, but I usually use them in the morning. They hold mine. One thing that I would say, Tom, if you're looking to maybe kind of have a little bit better Benzinga Pro, one thing that I like to do is actually open up tabs. So you see the tabs at the top of Benzinga Pro. I open these up all the time, and I have different ones set. So I'll have I'll show you right now really quickly. So here's my Benzinga Pro. When I open it up, I usually in the morning, I go to my pre-market movers tab. I also have a details tab if I just want to go through a certain stock. I have a tab for movers with details, right? So this is going to be intraday action. That's why it says over this session in the regular session. So I could look at what stocks are doing well today, like ETVL. That one's having a good day today. And I also have on the right-hand side, you'll see how I highly select anything SEC filings show up in yellow for me. I think that's important for me because I try to stay away from a lot of the fluff headlines, not looking too much into them. I'm looking for more of actual kind of SEC filings, like a passive stake, like here on this ERO. Not a bad one to take a look at. Passive stake with looks like BlackRock mentioned in here. I'd have to take a little bit deeper dive, but those are the kind of things that I'm looking for.
All right. Sorry about that, Mitch. I am back.
You're good, man. I was running through a little bit more of Tom had a question here, and maybe you can answer it in the chat there about how the best way to go about this. I told him what I like to do is I just use multiple pages like tabs, and that's helped me keep kind of more of kind of the same kind of filter on different tabs so that I can go back to it.
Yeah, I would say, Tom, shoot me an email. I don't want to do diagnosis and support over the YouTube this morning. Shoot me an email and we'll go through it. Let me go ahead and put my email here in the chat. Happy to help. Just don't want to do this while we're on YouTube. Sorry.
There you go. At least you got someone that will go along it with you, right? I told you, Tom, he'd help you out. Just hit him up. All right, let's take a look. Gush trying to get a little bit of a bounce there. So look for maybe that oil kind of starting to push, right? SPY, what did it do? Look how it just gone sideways on this 363. This is why I was giving you guys that level. It's the hourly low. It's not a 1 minute level. It's an hourly level more, or maybe the 15 minutes if you want to take a look at that chart. You can see the sideways action. What's going to happen here? So the rule of three really gives me more of a down one, up one, down two, up two, down three, up three. Normally in this case now, where if it gets above 370, we're in breakout mode towards the upside. If it gets below 360, 316, we're in breakdown mode. And this is actually a bearish pattern that you're seeing, and it would fulfill the bearish pattern. So a reversal would be that move through 370, and then we want to see it close above that.
Real quick, Tom, yes, you're not the point of pro is not to close these tools. So for example, when you have your movers tool open, when you're done using it, you don't want to close the tool because that of course will reset the filters. Leave the tools open. And the way what I tell everybody, especially when they're new, try to set up your different workspaces to achieve different tasks. So when I run through my list in the morning, I use my movers workspace. When I review the news that's moving everything, I use that workspace. That's why I keep a calendar on its own workspace so that I don't have to close it and open it and reapply filters. That's the thought process between how this was designed. Don't close them. You can also save your layout too, right? So you can click on the icon in the upper right, and then click layouts, and then you can come in here and save it so that if it's ever cleared out for any reason, you can simply load it as opposed to filling out those filters again. By the Horn saying, Ryan, you okay, mate? Looking a bit shook. By the Horns, ain't never been shook. So you don't have to worry about that. Ain't never been shook. I just ran 6 flights of stairs to make sure that my water delivery was successful.
Hell yeah. Getting a little workout in the morning. Get that blood pumping.
Gotta get those endorphins rolling here. We got a crappy market that's pounding the lows. Don't have a whole lot of setups. Got to get the endorphins flowing. Come on now.
Yep. And wouldn't you know it? Apple bouncing a little bit right where the SPY is battling. So now we're in a battle here. The battle is on. The bulls are like right now with their eyes open, like the cartoon, like, oh man, this could be bad. Well, let's see what happens here. Do the bears take control and really knock us through? I feel like the bears weren't shaken too much yesterday on that up move. But I feel like, the day traders took advantage. And for those day traders that took advantage on the day trades yesterday, power to you. Power to you. I talked about it. It would be very hard for us to see kind of the swing traders be like, oh, yeah, this is a new breakout. Even I, as a swing trader, that's what I had my bread and butter in. I wouldn't have taken that kind of swing, thinking that we're getting that move up.
It's the same, Mitch. If given the right conditions, I prefer to swing trade more so than day trade. I'm doing day trading out of necessity. But I'm in the same boat, Mitch. I just don't feel confident in swinging new positions. And I didn't feel confident yesterday. In fact, on happy hour, our group said that, we wouldn't be surprised to see the market down today. Here we go. Market's down, pounding the lows. It's exactly what we were looking for. So by the Horns asking if we see 360 today. Possible. I mean, it's only 3.5 points from where we're at. I think 360 is going to be a big test. I will say this, when we do hit 360, whether it's today, tomorrow, or otherwise, I do expect some type of bounce. How long is that bounce going to last? That's really the big question. I don't think we're going to see a V bottom recovery like we did off the COVID sell-off. I think we're probably going to consolidate and find new levels to kind of reset this market. So
I love that question right there. There's an indicator you can use actually to determine this. So what you want to be using is looking into what are called volatility indicators, right? And so these are indicators that are not necessarily telling us direction, but they're telling us when volatility increases and decreases. For some, they like to use like Bollinger Bands, and they're using a standard deviation to tell them what the volatility really is. Is it super volatile? Is it 2 standard deviations away? So essentially, it should be about 95% of the price action happening within those Bollinger Bands. So when you get outside of that, showing me extreme volatility. One way that I would like to look at this is if I have that type of question, where can the SPY go to? What are the limits, right? Well, I'll look at the average true range. Average true range is going to give you a good indication about the average move in the stock on one day. So right now, the average true range in the last 4 or 5 days have been all in the 8s. So it's okay to expect maybe an 8-point swing in the SPY. That's probably around the max that I would be expecting, because there's not very often where you're going to get a 2x ATR move.
By the way, here, just looking at the SPY chart, let me bring it up here real fast. All right, so looking at the SPY chart here, we did that bounce. It looks like that's done here. We have a low of, what is this? 362.80. So that's going to be one of the things that we're going to be watching here. It looks like we're kind of drifting back down there. Do we actually break that day low, or do we actually bounce off that day low? So this is one of the levels that I'm watching right here. I think we break down personally, but we'll see. We'll be prepared for either. Not seeing a whole lot at all.
No, this is the reason why I haven't mentioned a single trade. It's just more long. It's the battle with the SPY right now.
I'm sorry about that, guys. I mean, I really am. SNTI may be here if we can break above 190. I definitely want to, call out opportunities here. But the last thing that I'm going to do is lead you guys in front of a freight train. I'm just not going to do it. And if I don't feel confident about something, I'm not necessarily going to mention it. Some of the things that we talk about here, we're waiting for stocks to set up, right? So, like, for example, SNTI, we might have a setup here, a break above 190. We're not there yet, though. I'm watching it, but I'm not in it yet. And so let's watch how it trades. Go ahead, Mitch. Sorry.
That SNTI, I love this type of move. I've talked about these with these lower names. There's too many times where I see this happen.
190
Fine.
down, 198 in your next spot here if it can go there. I actually did try to buy. I was too slow.
This looked good. And so in the pre-market, what do you see? You see a lot of action towards the 175, right? But if you go towards the hourly, this is why I love using hourly on these cheap names. Look how this pullback went towards this 9 a.m. low. 9 a.m. low at 162. Right at the open, you get down there towards 163. Why not? You know, this is why I like using these hourlies. We could have been using maybe a 160 stop, 3-cent stop from push back towards 193, which is a 30-cent move. How good that is on risk to reward, I think that's massive. And so, of course, when you're looking at hourly charts, you want to go and size down to kind of give a little bit more room for the volatility. But hey, I think this would have been a great play to look at a 15 or an hourly, looking for that pullback versus the 1 minute that I see too many people trade these kind of $1 stocks.
Well, I'm gonna give you the other side of that, Mitch. I'm gonna give you the other side of that. First of all, I love the daily and the hourly chart, so this is not like a
no, by all means.
But look at what we saw here on the 1 minute, right? As soon as we crossed the VWAP, we used that VWAP as support, and when we pulled away from it, we back tested it, and now we're trying to pull away from it again. This stock does look like it's behaving pretty well today here. I have a high here of 193. We're currently at 192, a little bit of a seller there. I still think 198 is in play if we can take this out. Now, might it pull back? Yes. My spot to buy here was 190. I missed it. I pulled my order. I'm waiting for another setup. Let me make sure my animals are okay. One sec. I'm sorry, Mitch.
All right, let's go ahead. Let's continue watching. I'm sorry about that, guys. Just looking around here. What can I trade here? Let's look at the SPY. SPY still hanging on here, and we're getting towards that 10 a.m. Let's see if we get a 10 a.m. reversal to the upside, right? Sometimes it happens. We get a swing up, it comes down. We get a swing down, it comes back up. So let's see what happens here. A lot of it also, I'm looking at Apple. A lot of bottoming. 1, 2, 3. You guys know how I call 3 times the bottom. The 4th time is usually the time either we break through or we have reversal style action on the name. Let's see what happens here in Apple.
And what was that, Aaron, you were saying about trading with cats? My cat was in the other room and it sounded like he was destroying something. So that distracted me here. It's just how it goes. And by the way, on SNTI here, this is another reason why I'm waiting for the setup. And if I don't get my setup, I'm not chasing. What would have happened? The setup here for me was 190 on the break. Now we only went 3 cents above. They yanked it beneath. What happens if I would have chased that buy up here? I'd have immediately been in the red as this pulled back to 186. Now it's bouncing here. We might not be done. We might actually end up taking that out. But I want to be as tactical as I can so I don't have to deal with that emotional battle of going back and forth on a stock that looks like it wants to break out or make the next move. Perhaps not break out, but make the next move. I still think 198 is probably in play here as long as the volume holds up. Looking pretty good so far. Market is still on the lows here. SPY actually tried to, bounce. Now we're just pulling some more. Up here comes Buddy. You coming up? You want to say hi to the group? Here he is, folks. There he is. Hey, Buddy, look, you're full screen now. Look at. You're not looking. Okay, he doesn't care about being on a stream. He is going to rub my microphone, though. He's going to rub my microphone.
At least I don't hear him purring as much as Hendrix. Hendrix would be purring all day.
Yeah, he's a big purr, but he's doing some exploring right now. You can leave my headset alone. Thank you.
Apple trying to fight through the lows there. Now taking out the lows, like I talk about it. The 4th time, look for it to take it out. If it takes it out, it's a continuation move that you're looking for. So now you're looking for a closing below 143.80s. If this candle closes, it could keep coming down. What you got for us?
I'm just going to roll through the compliments that the cat is getting. In the chat. Thank you, folks. What I was going to mention ATXI here. We're actually hanging out right below the VWAP. I currently have the VWAP here at 703 on ATXI. It's clearly using this as resistance. So what this means going forward here, especially if we get volume sticks that look like this right out of the open, if we get any type of volume surge and expansion, you can use this VWAP as a breakout level. So if we're able to just kind of hang out right beneath that, yes, VWAP is clearly going to be resistance. But if you start to see volume flow in here and expand, it's likely going to have a test at that VWAP. And if it breaks above, there might be a trade that you can capture there. So this is kind of what I'm watching on ATXI. Jay Wild, I think you were watching ATXI earlier. Maybe you were even trading it. But this is kind of the setup that we're watching. No trade until it actually takes this. And we have a couple of things that we need to monitor to make sure happen as well. Volume is going to be a key here.
There she goes. There she goes. Where the leadership goes, sometimes the market follows. Wouldn't you know it? Well, look at leadership today, guys. SPY now down to 361.84. Next level to watch for me is 361.20s. That's where we stopped last time when we were looking at a wash down, and we just held sideways there on Tuesday. Let's see if we get through those levels now. If that happens, be careful, guys. This could start getting ugly. Apple down 4% on the day. Not many times you hear that one, right? Look at it just take out through those lows.
SNTI through that 198 level that we just talked about here. Testing up.
I got you.
Testing 2 here. There's definitely a sell wall at 2. They're hitting it. It's real. Let's see if they can actually end up taking it down here. I would expect that if we take 2 out here, we pop a little bit higher. There it goes. There's your pop up to 206. Now, remember, the initial trade here, the initial spot here was through 190. So depending if you're just watching and you're figuring out how to trade some of these, understand that this action right here, this is common. So what we had here is we had a first, the price is starting to run away from the VWAP on its way to 198, couldn't get to 198. Stalled at 193, came all the way back down to 183. Didn't quite hit the VWAP, but came back close to back tested and then really just pushed away. This last, look at the volume sticks here as we pushed away after that back test. These are bigger than any other volume stick we see the rest of the day. That's generally a good sign. 198 was that spot. We went as high as 206, excuse me. We might not be done here. These are the types of moves that if you can learn this pattern, if you can learn what stocks are likely to do in situations like this, you're going to be able to capture that movement on either side.
Bill, and I agree with what you mentioned in the chat there.
Yep,
sometimes, having Zunaid here would have been nice for the put ideas, and I agree. You very rarely will ever hear me mention a put. But I do short stocks. It's just with this kind of internet that I'm having today, I didn't want to just start being in the shorting party. If I was looking for shorts, I would have been looking at Apple, right? I mean, I know that a lot of people didn't look at it, but it had what's called a VWAP fade here, right out the gates here. It's when you get a down move and you get a move back towards VWAP, and you can use the pre-market high, sometimes the pre-market low, to see if that holds as a new resistance. But in this case, right, the VWAP is actually above the pre-market low. So you're using the pre-market high as your out point. So that could have been attacking the 147.06 as resistance and attacking the VWAP at 146.34. This got up towards 146.67 and came right back down through those lows. Eventually does the same thing on the side candle to the right. Actually goes up towards 146.72, but takes out the low again. And that's really when you start getting the wash. One of my favorite short strategies is the VWAP fade. And so if you haven't heard about the VWAP bounce, well, check out the VWAP fade. That's another way to look at it. All right, despite the market, Netflix is holding. That's not the worst one to see kind of holding on up. Yeah, it is holding on up. I mean, it's still down on the day, but not looking too bad, right? We'll see what happens there. It just looks like an ugly red day here. And especially when you see defensives at the top, that's usually a scary sign, right? That shows me that people are trying to look for what? Safety today. And so they're looking for safety. And is there safety? Well, maybe. If you're looking at one tobacco name here, even Philip Morris coming down today fast. So We'll see if these kind of get picked up a little bit later. Does this get into the green? This is why I watch a lot of the times percentage change from the open daily, because now we can look to see if anything can turn to the green. Everything's in the red. Consumer defense is about 1.26, which is the lowest, kind of the one that isn't pushed down, the furthest. But real estate is really cracked about 2.45 there.
Real quick, Mitch, if you wouldn't mind charting. Melissa Howell's asking, can you take a look at NLY? Massive sell-off here in NLY. I don't have an edge on this, so if you wouldn't mind charting this up for us here for Melissa.
What type of REIT is it? Can you look into at least what they do for me? Use the pro description for me while I look into the company.
It is an American mortgage real estate investment trust. The company segments its operations into residential and commercial real estate investments.
Boom. You got the answer. Residential construction. It's not looking good right now. The numbers were showing really bad numbers for a long time. They lagged into the stocks because why? People were looking at REITs as income players, right? So they were looking for these as dividend plays. I think that's why they held up for so long. But now you're really starting to see them break. One way that you can look at this is the ITB, the U.S. Home Construction Index, right? Look at the leaders like Lennar. They're starting to break. They look very similar to that ITB. So that's probably what I would be seeing there. If you're looking at that stock breakdown, a lot of that is what the numbers finally catching up with the housing market. And things don't look good for housing at all. It really looks bad. And I think at some point, you're going to see such demand destruction that hopefully, and at least for some people that are trying to get into housing, right, the prices will come back down.
Real quick, Jessica asking here, did anyone else hear that Philip Morris was getting out of tobacco?
Yes.
Am I high right now? Philip Morris is getting out of tobacco. Can't say if you're high. Maybe you're probably having a better morning than us if that's the case. Here's the link that I just pulled up. This is the article that I'm just linking you to. Marlboro maker CEO says the company plans to stop selling smokes in the UK. If you read on here, it says we'll stop selling cigarettes in the United Kingdom within the next decade. And they said the same thing about the US, I believe.
The writing is on the wall, and they see it also.
Yep.
So the tobacco companies know they're going to do what? Crassy's right. They're going to transition into cannabis.
And in fact,
it gets legal.
And in fact, we've heard that they're pretty much ready to go with that. It really comes down to federal legalization, obviously.
That's it.
That's gonna be the big thing. But for the most part, it seems like, and this is, I haven't verified this myself, but it seems like they're ready to just go with production. My best guess is that you're going to see a Marlboro pack with a green weed leaf on it. And instead of the green meaning menthol, it's going to be a little bit deeper green, and it's going to mean cannabis. I wouldn't be shocked to see that.
Just don't give me no menthol joints. I'm not into that.
Yeah, that sounds disgusting.
That sounds disgusting. I don't want to feel like I'm having my teeth brushed while I'm smoking a joint.
Oh man, didn't think we were going to talk about that today. But here we are.
It's cannabis, right?
We
run cannabis here at Benzinga.
SNTI holding that 2 really, really well. Perhaps we push up and try to take out that 209 here on the curl. I'm not going to try this here just because market is really, really rough. I'm kind of dialing back today. But SNTI, this is actually one of the better performing stocks today. It looks like we might try for that 210 high. Let's check in on ATXI. We're still beneath the VWAP, but we do have a pop right now back towards that VWAP. We'll see if we can end up getting there.
SPY trying to hold and not break through those Tuesday lows. That's a good sign, at least. You're starting to get some sideways action around here. Now, the real thing is look to see if we break through those Tuesday lows. If those go, I think we got to go, right? And we got to keep looking at shorts right now. Success, if you guys are in success, this has been a hell of a day to be in success. Look at that move there you're seeing, guys. Of course, this is bearish to semiconductors. So what are you seeing? Well, take a look. I mean, there's not many times where I look at leadership and it's this bad. This is horrible. At least for semiconductors, this is not what you want to see. Look at these semiconductors, the bigger ones, right? TSM down to $70. You guys remember I've been calling this one of the best shorts when this was at 90. 90, guys. We could have been shorting TSM. I've been calling it since then. And why? Because of the China news. It still hasn't even come out and they're getting down so much. Just imagine what would happen to TSM if China were to invade Taiwan. You could kiss it goodbye, probably. It's going to be down there towards maybe $10. And this is the one that has the highest capitalization, right? I mean, you're up at $378.7 billion. We don't want to see this one keep hitting new lows, just like Nvidia hitting new lows, guys. New lows on the daily chart there for Nvidia as it keeps just leaking on out.
SSNT curling back towards the highs at 340 here. Definitive agreement and plan to merge with Rhodium Enterprises. Not sure what that is, but nice little pop here out of the open. Retrace back right beneath 3. Looks like we held 292, and now we're curling back up towards the highs. So decent move here. I just kind of got a picture of this as we moved through the VWAP here, but this is a nice move. SNTI pulling here, unable to take out that 209 high, pulling back here 192. So let's take a look at SNTI real quick. Here's your pullback. Got a VWAP here at 187. I would expect some type of bounce around that level.
I can't even read some of the names that we have in these chats. These guys get creative with their screen names. Let me just say that. But let's keep going. Let's take a look what's going on in the market. Seems like it's just continuing to drop here. Tesla, has that found a bounce? No. Look at the Tesla chart. Ugly, ugly day there for Tesla. Kapow, kapow, kapow. Look at that. 283 is now down to 270. Watch out. This is getting ugly, guys.
Goldman Sachs at lows, Tesla at lows, Apple at lows. I mean, all these charts look bad, folks.
Yeah, not what you wanted to see. And it's funny because I put out a comment out there if we would get out of this sideways consolidation, and I put it out on my Twitter, guys. I was like, are we going to break to the upside or are we going to break to the downside? Looks like people were thinking the upside, but not seeing that much right now. All right, another area to kind of keep on watch. Let's take a look to see what's going on out there. I did get a question given to us that I was keeping a close eye, and this is why, I recommend you guys definitely follow us on Twitter. I try my best to answer questions, especially if someone reaches out to us. Clear example right here. We got a reach out that asked us. Apple showed us, and he wrote 2 comments with it. He said, number 1, the market is not ready to plunge yet. Number 2, but close below the 150 hint for more downside. Any thoughts? Well, I said, keep your eyes on Apple to see if we get a wicked down move in the next couple of days. This could be where the bulls get capitulated down. If the leaders like Apple and Tesla turn, things could get worse. That was given yesterday. So, guys, this is what I'm looking at. And this is literally what's happening today. Apple and Tesla driven down. Not what we want to see, because these were the stocks that were holding us up.
ATXI trying for that VWAP here, 701. We're pushing up to it. We'll see if that can break. ATXI, I mean, we're really scraping the bottom of the barrel here, but I'm looking for anything that we might be able to trade.
Do you guys think there will be another bankruptcy notice if Bitcoin gets back underneath 17? Yeah, I could see that happening. Bitcoin is going to go through a little bit of a struggle here because a lot of people thought that it was kind of more of a safer investment. They clearly found out that it wasn't. And so with that being said, it's going to take a lot to get the consumer to believe in that type of trade again, right? Because a lot of people got scammed out of their money. Let's just be honest. And so with that being said, now you got to start questioning these platforms. Every platform will be questioned. It's not going to be just one. You're not going to believe one. And with that being said, how far will these Bitcoin and cryptocurrency platforms have to battle back the wall of worry that has happened? A lot of this because they've been scammed out of their money. Let's just be honest. How many of these companies have gone bankrupt and you thought that your money was safe and it really wasn't? SPY now down to 360.96, and it went down to 360.59. So we haven't hit that 360, but we got below that 361.28. Not a good sign here. Now we'll look to see if we get that bounce, right? We're through that level. Let's see if we get a quick recovery candle. So we want to see kind of an indecision candle here show up. We'll see what happens. I'm on the 3 minute, not the 1. So let's see what happens there. That's an indecision candle. Like everyone likes to say, the hammer candy, the hammer candy. Well, let's see what happens here. It's kind of more of a doji right now. Let's see if it actually makes some move. A big move up through kind of 362 could show a little bit of a reversal sign. Another leg down through 360.50. And now it's more, watch out, where do we stop? This is an ugly day, guys. And looking at the leadership, and there's just nothing that tells me that we're turning back around, nothing holding up. The only thing up I see is Visa. Can someone explain to me why Visa's up? Maybe Ryan can find something in the pro. But Visa is holding up well right now relative to a lot of stocks. Maybe
it's doing exactly that. It's holding up.
Yeah, holding.
Uber and Visa provide $1 million in grants and resources to support small business. That's the only news I have here from today.
Yeah, a little bit of some supporting news here. We'll see if it's able to hold. It's in kind of a little bit of a sideways, I would say more like a pennant pattern here. You got an uptrend here on the downside of the candles, an downtrend on the top side. It's kind of wedging into it. We'll see if it gets towards 181 for the breakout, or does it break down through the 179.50 and start heading towards 179? Visa, probably about the only one that I see holding up. I mean, MasterCard isn't looking too bad, right? So maybe a Visa kind of really gives you that next drive. Maybe look to see if MasterCard can get back above the VWAP. That wouldn't be a bad one to watch for maybe a move towards the 290s, up towards 290.50. Let's see what happens. I'm just trying to call some kind of bullish outlook there because everything else looks like it's just
the only thing that I've seen that is even possible to trade to the upside were some of these micro caps. And this is one of the reasons why I look at these all the time, is because this is where the opportunity is. I don't necessarily like it either. I'd love to load up on good quality companies, but those companies are getting hit right now. SNTI, as we're speaking right here, broke to new highs here, 215, looking really strong, still seeing some bids being brought in here. So but even so, even day trading this has been yanked several times today. It's not immune. Savage Gaming saying it's interest rates for Visa, but the other thing is that it's more than just the interest rates, because as people are getting more and more hurt, they're more and more likely to default and not be able to pay their credit card back. So there's a trade-off there. Despite the interest rates going higher, there's still a trade-off there, Savage.
Well, at least the Apple indicator wasn't a bad one to call out today.
No, it's not. That's hanging right out at lows too.
Yeah, you can see Apple come back. Maybe we get a little bit of a pushback in this market. And really what we need to see is now the market recovered 363. That's going to be an important level to watch later in the day, because it can recover it. If it recovers it, it's back into the hourly range, and it was just more chop, right? So we got to be careful with that outlook also. That's why it's difficult to trade here.
AXLA, you might get a upside curl towards the VWAP. VWAP at 202, current price at 191. So that might be something worth watching. Again, we're going to need the volume there to confirm that move. Don't have it yet. SNTI pulling back here from the highs, down at 2.
We're in the trenches. I agree with you, Crypto.
I'm going to go to the washroom, Mitch. I'll be right back.
You're good, my friend. All right, let's see what happens here. SPY trying to get through that 362. I called out a little bit earlier. Would we see that reversal style action? Now it's going to be about what happens here. You get back towards the 90 MA. Let's see what happens. Do we take another step back towards 361? Or do we get through some resistance to the left, right? So this was resistance here where you saw these closes, 360 through 21. Let's see what happens. Do we get that next step up? Same thing for Apple, right? So you're starting to get a little bit of a bottoming action here. You can see how there was 3 bottoms on that 4th attempt. It didn't break through. Talk about the rule of 3 and that 4th move all the time. Now let's see if we get back through that level. If we get back through that level, I'd be concerned about the SPY there. So it's now a battle on. Where do you want to see Apple get through? These highs to the left, the 143.50. That can make our move come back towards VWAP. VWAP on Apple is 144.59. And sometimes people look at this trade. They call it the mean reversion trade. As the stock gets further and further away from the VWAP, they like to trade it back towards the VWAP. So let's say if it was like Apple here, they would be trading to the long side, going towards that mean reversion style trade, which is a move back towards VWAP. And they sell it immediately as it gets close towards that move.
So SPY trying to bounce here. Trying.
All right. Do you see someone wants to talk about Netflix? We saw Netflix holding up earlier. Now it's starting to come cracking down, and it doesn't look good to me, at least here. It just needs to hold the 240, though. 240 is a big support. If it keeps holding that, at least you're still in kind of sideways trend. But if it breaks 240 and actually closes below that, I would be careful. I can see that right here. Like you see the 240s down here. There's a couple of wicks there. But if you actually get a close down there, that's where I'd be a little bit concerned, because you're breaking through the support. Breakout is really through kind of back through 245, going towards yesterday's high, which is up towards 246.65. Apple holding, that's a good sign there. That should show us a little bit of move in the SPY towards the upside. Now we talked about the levels that I'm looking at, 143.50. Let's see if we get through that on Apple, or is this kind of more just chop here at the bottom of the range?
Yeah, I don't see much of anything here, Mitch.
Yeah, there's not much today. I'll be right back in a couple seconds, and then I can get you probably out of here a little bit earlier today, Ryan, if you need to get on out.
I'm all right for right now. One of the things when we find days like this, one of the things that I like to do is really just kind of protect myself. You'll hear me all the time talking about protecting your capital and this and that. And days like today, I just don't feel like I have a lot of good edges. Even on days that I feel like I have the edge, I sometimes end up taking losses. Today feels like the opposite. The comment earlier about, finding puts, that's definitely it. One of the things right now is that the market has been choppy, right? So even on days where we're down, we just had a huge bear market rally yesterday on some ECB headlines. And now we're right back. What are we right now? Minus 575 on the Dow. So the back and forth here is pretty incredible. Now, day trading options has not been terribly successful for me recently. I know Zunaid does a good job of hitting those, but it's not. I've not had a whole lot of success with it, so I'm not going to try to just haphazardly find shorts. Now looking at the level that we're at, we're down here at 360. I expected a bounce. We're getting a little bit of a bounce here. How long will this last? Not really sure. I still think inevitably we break lower. It looks like this bounce actually might be over. It looks like we're kind of rolling over here, at least on the 1 minute chart. So this too shall pass. I'm going to wait for opportunities that I feel confident in trading. And if I don't find them, I have no problem sitting on my hands. I don't need to make a problem worse for myself. Sava actually not terrible looking here. I know this has been kind of a battleground stock, if you will. There are people on both sides of this issue. I don't have a horse in this race, so I don't trade Sava here. Some decent moves though. Nice little move through the VWAP here. Yes, Ripon. So you trade Momo quite a bit. You're got a really good eye for that stuff. Really good eye for the levels. I'd like to hear about what you're doing on days like today. Are you changing your long base style to look for shorts on instruments like SPY or Apple or some of the bigger stocks? Would love to hear about how you're doing that. Staying relaxed today is the way to be. That's the other thing. When you're looking at a market that's getting absolutely destroyed, I have holdings. I have longer term holdings that are getting absolutely crushed right now. I believe in the long-term premise of the story. I'm not trying to sell it today, tomorrow, next week, or even next month. They're longer term holds. But when you watch that destruction all of the time, that can play into some of your other trades, right? So staying relaxed is going to be key, especially if you're trying to trade something that's difficult. Last thing I want to control what you can control, right? That's what it comes down to. I can't control where the market's going to go. Wish I could, but I can't. So what I am going to do is control what I can control. Ripon, you only trade small caps. So you're just waiting then. You're waiting for your setup. You're waiting for your time. Here comes the bounce. So we're talking about the bounce here. Let's take a look here. This is actually good to see, right? Looks like we tried to bounce. We kind of came back in a little bit. Now let's see if we can actually clear this out here. We need to get above what? 362? Currently at 361.94. Let's see if the SPY's got it here. Maybe we can get a bounce here today. And maybe if we get a bounce, that'll start lighting up some of our other plays. Voodoo says, Ryan, I made no trades today either. I don't chase runners out of the gate, and that's just what we had. I don't need to trade just to trade. That is very, very well said, Voodoo, and that's exactly where I'm coming from here. I know we have a trading show. I know everyone's looking for opportunities. Some of you might only have today to be in front of the program or in front of your broker and watching the market closely. I'm sorry about that. That's just how the cookie crumbles sometimes. When there is no trade, don't trade just to trade. Don't force it. That is a quick way to losing your money, and nobody here wants to see that. Nobody.
You gotta hold on. Hold on. Where's the shield wall? Remember when they used to yell the shield wall? The meme traders, they were like, put the wall. Shield wall.
Hold the line. Hold the line,
Hold
I
the
thought is what we
line.
heard all the time.
Yeah, remember?
Robert
Hold the
saying cash your
line.
position. Absolutely, Robert. And let me tell you something else. You know, there's there are a lot of old adages that go back a long way. You know, Baron Rothschild said, you know, buy when there's blood in the streets, even if it's your own. Warren Buffett tells you all the time, you know, be greedy when others are fearful, I think is his famous quote. So when you have cash, when you keep your position in cash and you get a market that takes really good quality stocks and slaps them down, you're able to buy those companies at a discount. The slow run up, that's your wealth move, right? When we're talking here about day trading and scalping, a lot of times, you know, I'm only looking for 10, 15, 20 cents. Maybe we catch a runner and it goes a whole dollar. That's great. Short-term gains are great. You can redeploy them into some of your longer-term moves. You can just kind of sit on it and build your account. There are a number of things that you can do with that. There's a time and a place for it. But some of those big moves where, you know, you buy a stock at $10 and you end up selling it at 50 or 60, those moves are going to take time. And sometimes when you get an event like this that resets the pricing on all of these assets, that's when you actually want to deploy your cash. It's really, you know, I've seen this quote on Twitter the past several days too. The stock market is the only business where people run away from it when everything is on sale. Think of another business where that's the case. When things go on sale in the stock market, people get fearful and run away. And the ability of a good trader and someone that's trying to build wealth is to be able to do research, do due diligence, find quality companies that are going to be able to survive that price depreciation, and then deploy assets to multiply in that environment. That's one of the things that we're going to try to do. And one of the other things that you're going to see from us here is when the market turns around and when opportunity becomes more plentiful or more frequent, you're going to see Mitch and I take swing trades. You're going to see us buy things, hold them for several days, talk about the movement, analyze the different levels. But we're not going to be able to do that until that position presents itself. Finn and rant. Sorry about that.
Wicks are tricks. Look
and
at these
tricks
wicks.
are for kids.
Look at these wicks. SPY tries to wick upwards. Look at the level that I gave you for Apple up towards 143.50. Look at all the wicks there. Wicks, wicks, wicks. Don't get any closing up there. Those are the things that I look at all the time, and that's why I try my best. And it's hard, I will be honest. That's why I try my best not to pay attention to wicks. Wicks are price extremes, not much volume trading there. And so you got to be careful when you're seeing those wicks. I've seen it countless times where those wicks, they're just tricks. I did see someone mention a good mention there in the chat about fighting yourself on trying not to trade every day. This is a common theme that is out there. One of the biggest things that you need to look at is your data. Does trading every day help me or does it hurt me? Because there's certain times I'm probably trading against the trend in the market, and that definitely is going to be definitely in the long run detrimental to your account.
And that's also where journaling comes in, right? Especially
100%.
especially on days where you're not trading as much. Maybe review your trading journal. See how you're trading, see where your losses are coming from, and then maybe skate away from that area. Skate to where the losses are, where the wins are coming from, as opposed to where the losses are coming from. If it turns out that you review your trading journal and it seems like you are forcing a lot of trades, that's something that you can control right away. It doesn't matter what the market is doing. Control the forced trading that you're getting.
Yeah. And the SPY, what does it do? It's doing what I see often when we get in these moments in indecision, to pressure two ways, the bulls and the bears. Because if we can wash them out, then the algos take control of the price action.
Rippin. So here we go. So this is some great analysis. So we don't have a whole lot going on. So let's talk about one of the things that actually looks strong today in ADTX. All right. So Rippin here is giving you his playbook on how he's actually going to identify it and look at this. ADTX is over the previous large volume area, the 360 area. And so here's what he's talking about. It's definitely over this area. It's grinding sellers at 4, meaning so as it's pushing up into this 4 level, it's chipping away at the sellers that are there. But if it breaks through 4, you can see 420. So this is almost identical to the stuff that I trade here on a regular basis. We're looking for it to snap out the offers that are here. We can confirm that there are offers around this 4 area. Once we snap that, we're liable to see a larger pop. But as he goes on to say here, you don't want to lose the 360 area now, right? So when we're talking about trading here, buying here, really, this could very easily go down to 360, kind of hold, and then make the move that you're waiting for. So this is a really good way to kind of approach this. Dan, I'm guessing here that you either have no position right now or you're waiting for some type of trigger to get in. Is that correct? And here we go. By the way, as we're talking about this, here we go with ADTX kind of breaking down. Now we're holding right at this VWAP, so it might snap under it temporarily, but it's coming right back to it. So we want to see what the next move is here.
Well, glad I didn't push it in that rum. Rum is now down towards 1224, so it would have definitely cost me to kind of fight my location on the stop out. So that's an important thing also. I don't mind usually if I'm looking at a stock to maybe give myself a couple more cents on a trade if the market's just like ripping rally and everything is kind of in an upward trend and I'm trading upwards. I can usually give myself a couple more cents. But if I'm seeing things wash out, that's where I really got to be careful, because those washing out is how you get into a bullish looking chart and all of a sudden a big washout, a rug pull. Well, the rug pulls happen a lot of the times because the overall market pulls the rug.
And so here, this is a great way to cap off the discussion that we were just having about ADTX. Dan saying I have a half position. Remember, right after the last comment that I read you, Dan said, risky your trade right now, so reduce your size. So what did he do? He has a half position on. He reduced his size. He's already exposed less to any potential downside move here. Now let's take a look at his levels. I have a half position at 363. Okay, well, we were just telling you when we were doing the analysis of this, 360 is the level that it needs to hold. And so what is his stop? 359. This guy's got 4 cents of downside built into his plan, and we're talking about possibly breaking 4 and hitting a level of 420. That risk to reward right there, Dan, that's spectacular. The ability to find that type of setup here on a day like today, that's great. And one of the things that I noticed that you're doing here is you have a very, very specific plan on one name. It certainly doesn't seem like you're over trading or like you're forcing it. You're waiting for your plan to develop. You're waiting for your trade plan to tell you, are you right or are you wrong? And you have a plan for both sides of that. That's exactly how we should be setting up any trade that we make, day trade or otherwise.
Team, I have a S&P 500 scanner that I've been looking at constantly because of the competition, right? It's only the 500 stocks that are in the S&P. There's only 4 of them in the green today. 4 stocks out of 500. That is a sign of concern. That is horrible, horrible news. There's ROL, MKTX, WAT, CTXS. Everything else is in the red. What are the worst names today? CarMax just getting destroyed off their earnings. Caesar getting destroyed. SEDG getting destroyed. Even the solar name getting hit hard. Lumen. Ooh, General Motors down almost 7% on the day. Some of these stocks are just getting crushed today.
And SPY back at lows, by the way, Mitch. SPY back at lows. You can see it right there on your left-hand chart. We're going right back to that 360 area. Let's see what we do around that 360 area when we get it.
Yeah, it's battling there at least. And another kind of wicks or tricks, right? Look how Apple tries to break through it, but what do the bodies close? 148, 142.80. This is why I've been calling out on tricks on both sides, right? So they're washing out the bulls, they're washing out the bears, and then all of a sudden the algos take charge and make the money. Well, be careful about that. Start noticing the pattern. Be careful on those wicks. They're extremes, and the algos are loving the volatility because they have a tendency of not having emotions, right? They're computers. So they're able to go ahead and have styles of trades where it can handle those types of swings in the market. Where I noticed this the most was in the New York Stock Exchange when the Fed was going on. And I could see the overall market just swinging down, up, down, up. And I could see the reactions of the floor traders out there, and looking on their faces told me enough.
I love the added drama there to that. By the way, SPY is trying to bounce again off that 360 level. We'll see what we can do about, or we'll see what types of levels this bounce actually takes out and how short-lived it might be. I messed that one up, but I think you guys know what I'm saying here. Interesting question here from Crypto Taurus. This is actually something that we discuss on the Happy Hour program almost every day, several times a week at least. Will we get that Q4 rally? So let's talk about that for a sec. So
Santa Claus is coming to town.
So here's the thing: what you have in early November are the midterm elections, and the midterm elections, no matter which way they go, that's unimportant. The midterm elections are going to remove some type of uncertainty from this market. That should help. That should help. Now, currently, all the things are one of the reason that the market is doing this is because of inflation and interest rates. And while I don't think we're going to have a resolution, if you will, on that, we might have some more data by then that might help this cause. So there was also someone, I think it was in here. I can't remember if it was in this show, the Happy Hour show, or just in the chat. There are incredible traders all over this ecosystem. I can't remember where I got this from. I think it was the Happy Hour. I think it was Tom, had mentioned that S&P performance post midterms is generally pretty good in terms of a percentage base as well as a frequency base. I think it's something like 80% or even higher. The market normally outperforms after the midterm elections, or shortly after the midterm elections. Now, we have a different environment now, so I'm not sure that that's going to be the case. But I would imagine that this is the fastest decline, I believe the stat that I saw yesterday was if you include the bond market, this is the fastest, biggest decline in the history of the stock market. The amount of wealth that has been wiped out from this down move is insane. It's gigantic, and it happened really, really fast. So you could also assume that at some point there's going to be some seller exhaustion, even if it's just going to be a bounce play. And maybe that lines up with the midterm. And then so maybe that lines up with your Q4 rally. I think it's too early to make a definitive call on that, but I do think that's worth watching. Keep that on the back burner and see if you get any signs that tell you that that's going to happen or that's not going to happen. I'm sure we'll continue to discuss that here. This is a regular topic of discussion.
We'll see what happens here. Apple gave you a nice little kind of leading indicator. It tried. It gave you a really quick spike in 3 minutes. And now you're looking at the SPY. You've got a bottoming right around, I would say, the 361 level. You see wicks, anything underneath there. That's where I'd look to put my levels a lot of time, is where the bodies show, not the wicks. Remember, The wicks are tricks. Well, now we're going to start getting that push back towards these levels of 362. And we're looking to actually close up here. Take out that 362.21 going back to VWAP on the SPY. Doesn't mean we're going to get a rip and rally here, but we could get some reversal style action coming back to the mean, which a lot of the times the way I look at that is the VWAP, right? Are we going back to the average price on the day? That's why people look at the VWAP, because it's the average price with volume weighted in.
SPY trying to bounce here. So we're trying to clear out the consolidation level here. Looks like, and here we are. So we are above it. We are above it now, 362. So we're moving to the upside. Question is going to be, where does this rally end, or where does it slow down? So far, so good. So we'll just kind of watch it. I'm not necessarily buying this as the bottom per se. I know we've kind of hit this 360 level twice here today. I'm not going to change my opinion that quickly. I want to see some more stuff confirm this. I wouldn't be shocked even if we bounce higher than this. Like, let's say the VWAP, which we have at 363.40. Even if we bounce off of this, I still don't think that we're out of the woods. We could very easily turn around and roll over.
TLT is going up. That's a good sign there. Now we're starting to see that push there. Now you're getting the SPY doing what? Right towards that 362.21. There's a resistance there. Now let's see if it takes it out. If it closes above this, I think we'll start seeing that push. Another thing you can see there is Tesla trying to make its way back, right? We'll see if these can make its way back. Look at Apple. Immediately when it gets above there, pulls right back down. A lot of playing, and a lot of this, I think, is just the algos at work. This is why when we went to free commissions, I really felt that that would be a negative for retail versus what everybody in retail probably thought. This is the positive. No, it's actually a negative. It lets the algos take more control of the price action, because the big thing that the algos wanted were cheaper ordering execution, right? They do more orders than humans do, right? So where does that help? That helps the computers win. That doesn't help retail win. And I feel like when we went to free commission, we opened ourselves to a big disadvantage in retail. We can't trade like computers do, unfortunately.
And you can't compete with computers. Remember, computers are trading at light speed, right? You're not going to be able to compete with that if you're trying to just capture very specific spots and small amounts.
And what does the SPY do? Gives us a wick above 362, going at 362.21. But where does it close? 361.89, right back below 362. So this happens often, these little wick games that you're getting played. And if you played that momentum right to 362, what do? You get caught. Let's just be honest. You get caught. And then now it's already back to 361.87. And you're like, oh, man, did I just buy the high? Did I buy the spike? That's the hard part. That's why I like to, wait for the closing of the candle versus the kind of the momentum that you're seeing in candles.
Aaron Bryan saying, I'm going to wager that within a few years, retailers will be banned. I think he meant banned from the options market. Aaron, I will take the other side of the bet. There is a 0% chance that happens. No way. I will, any amount that you want, let's do it. We got witnesses. I will absolutely take the other side of that bet. The reality is that if anything, they're going to have you opt in. And that's what they have you do now to different levels of trading options. They have all types of disclosures that you have to read or simply skip over and then sign. And there are a lot of traders out there looking for risk so that they can attach reward to that. Reward doesn't come without risk ever. And successful traders understand this. So options present that to you. They give you more of a risk profile, but also give you more potential rewards. There's no way that those will be stopped, even from retailers.
Exactly. I would agree with the statement, but it looks like there's some battle in the chat there. If the retail, getting that free ordering was a benefit or a negative. Of course, this is a battle. This is more of a conversation. But my biggest thing is comments like that, what Bo said here, is that it's amazing all the rules that retail has to play by, but yet it's crazy how we still join this game, right? It's like the ultimate rigged Monopoly game. It's like they get to, roll the dice twice and we only get to roll the dice once. That's how it feels a lot of the time. And I'll tell you, That's how the system was created. The system's intended towards the institutions to make the money. That's the truth. Now understand that, and now try to not get mad about that because you're not going to change it, but figure out how you can get around that and make your own money, right? That's why trading's hard. That's why this game isn't easy. And it's not just one way to trade.
This game was never easy, and it likely won't be easy. And the reality is that the United States stock market has created more wealth than any other mechanism in the history of this planet. So there's always going to be people that are going to participate with it. They're going to accept the level of risk that they're comfortable with. Some are going to make it. Some aren't going to make it. Be part of the group that makes it.
Yep. And with that being said, I always try to remind people that at the end of the day, brokerages are here to make money. They're not here to be your best friends.
Yeah, I will agree with one of the other comments up here, though. Mitch, I know you take the other side of this, and that's okay. Personally, as a retail hobbyist, free trading was the best thing that could happen. The trade fees eat such a high percentage that as a college student that no fees let me build my account fast. I think you meant faster. You left off the R there. Yeah. I'm in the same boat here. When I first started, trade fees on individual trades, they were a killer. I was starting with very small accounts, $500 and $1,000. I ended up blowing them up before I started with my third account. But regardless, those fees absolutely ate into it. And when everything moved to free, it was much better for some of the newer traders in there. Now, by saying that, Mitch is correct. There are trade-offs to everything, right? There are trade-offs to everything. And so part of that is going to be how the algos behave, but that's nothing you can't get around or can't learn to deal with.
It's hard to deal with my producers chat while I'm in the stream here, guys. Sometimes these guys, AB, Enver, AT, Rohan, I'll tell you right now, they get on some tangents that I'm just like, man, the gift game. I'm not that hip anymore, man. I gotta figure out how to do this gift game life. Not as good as everybody else is. But the SPY, what has it done in the last hour or 45 minutes? Nothing. It's just gone sideways. It's just playing with people. And this is why I hate to trade when the market's just going sideways, because it's just an easy recipe to just do what? Especially as a day trader, just start over trading. Just start over trading. You're just like, oh, this is the move. Oh, I get stopped out. Oh, this is the move. I get stopped out. Oh, this is the move. I get stopped out. And usually what ends up happening is they start following their rules, and then they realize, man, I got 3 stop outs. I can't trade anymore. And then the market goes. Well, that's the hard part of it, right? And so it's hard to trade within that chop. That's why I look for those closings to get out of ranges, because it's just an easy way to start over trading. Number one way that traders kind of destroy their accounts is that right there, at least from what I see. It's either not understanding how to even, manage risk, but another big thing is just over trading, just taking way too many trades.
SNTI, by the way, approaching that 215 high after its pullback here. It's holding the VWAP. Looks like it's moving up here. I have no position in it, but I am watching this 215 level on SNTI. Mitch, what are you thinking for your Fins tonight? Two is playing.
Of course. You know who's winning? The Dolphins. Dolphins taking it. And big reason why is because of the defenses. It's not the offenses. The offenses are going to be all right. But I do see that the Bengals are struggling on defense. And I think that you're going to see that they are not going to be able to handle the Dolphins offense. So just watch out.
Well, I'll tell you what. To let me know if you take any bets.
I can't. I'm in North Carolina.
All right. You don't have to yell.
Nah, it just pisses me off that I can't bet.
I feel you, especially if you were used to it at one point. I'm going to take a look at some parlays tonight. I've hit a couple of parlays recently, riding the hot streak, so we'll see what we can do.
Yeah, I got to go and
where's Berlin? Fins up.
I got to gamble in the Bahamas and stuff now because, that's the only way to do it, So I'm not doing it right now, but I mean, that's the only way I can do it. This is why things should be legal sometimes. Just like there's no reason for cannabis to be
it's
illegal,
coming.
there's
It's
no
coming.
reason for sports betting to be illegal.
I know it's not happening
It's
fast
just-
enough for everybody, but it's coming. Let's relax. By the way, one of the things that's worth noting here, the bounce in Bitcoin, much better than the bounce in the overall market here. Here comes the high on SNTI. We're right there at 215. There's a seller wall there.
My boy I Am Wissing knows me very well.
There goes 15.
There's the SPY, guys. There's the SPY. Now we're getting it. Look for Apple to follow here. Tesla gave us a little bit of a sign too. It started pushing. Now let's see if they can really start pushing here. So you should see like your leverage trades just start falling off the tape, like the SQQQ or what's the SPY one? I don't trade it too often. What is that one? Is it what's the levered SPY on the bear side?
SPXS.
SPXS. There you go. Thank you. Appreciate it, Ron.
Yep.
So we should see this one just start falling off the tape. Just literally just falling off the tape, going back towards the VWAP. It just did that kind of slight move. Now let's see if it can continue. So does this mean that we're going to get back, maybe towards, let's say, 365 today? I'm not sure. But I'll tell you, at least we're trying to come back into that 363.16, which is important because we're back towards the hourly range. And it's almost like this never happened if it can get back up there.
SPY trying here.
Thank you, guys. I saw you guys in the chat. Appreciate it.
Trying to take out 363 here on the upside on SPY.
VPN doesn't work because the big thing is the platforms know when you're using a VPN. So it will not work if you're using a VPN. So trust me. Already tried.
I was going to say, Mitch definitely tried that one already, without a doubt. Dollar went red, says Jay. Jay, what are you doing with that? When you see that happen, are you taking any trades? Are you looking at anything in particular?
DXY went red?
Yeah.
Well, he's watching
the dollar. He's watching the dollar, so I'm trying to spin it forward here. What types of trades are you putting on based on what you see with the dollar chart?
Well, one of the ones that I'd look at is this UDN. This one looks interesting to play. Yesterday, it had about a 2% move, not trying to break through the 17. Another way to look at it is what's going on with the bonds, right? If the bonds can get that little push on up, let's see if the SPY can get that continued push. Now, the big thing is you're asking yourself, is this going to be nice, a rally back, or are we just going to get up towards VWAP and then come right back down? That's why I'm not playing too many plays towards the upside now. It would be the short momentum, at least for me, riding it just to the VWAP. And then I'd have to make the decision if I'm looking for the continuation. I personally would probably be looking to sell into the move, but it's always for you guys to make your own assessment there. Another big way that you guys can look at it is, and I try to point out different indicators for you guys to look at, right? So you guys can maybe find what you like. Well, look at the MACD, right? MACD is the moving average convergence divergence. And so what you're seeing here is this 9 EMA. That's this light blue line, right? And so what you're looking for a lot of the times is you're going to see an expansion away from that light blue line when you're having momentum. When it comes back to that light blue line, like you see here at the bottom, when you get this price consolidation, you're going to see a lot of this style action on the MACD, where it was expanded from it and then comes towards that. When you see the crossover, a lot of the times, that's when we're going to get that crossover of momentum coming back. It can always cross right back down, but that's a good sign to look for that reversal. And you can see, where did that happen? Right near that level where we started breaking through the sideways action towards the upside. Just another tool to use, right? It's up to you what you want to use. The MACD is used a lot by a lot of traders.
Jay Rice was saying, Ryan, the dollar, it's just a tool for indexes. Lately, the correlation has been spot on. So you're just looking at another indicator to confirm what you're seeing out there. I gotcha.
Yeah, why not, right? I think that's what you need to be, like, kind of heard me mention today about like the bogey of watching Apple. Have your bogeys. What are you looking for? What could give you a little bit of a sign? You're not going to maybe be like full on entry because of these signs, but it can give you the sign that this is what you're seeing. So yesterday I talked about how we wanted to see the dollar come down, the 2-year yield also come down. That would show us that we could get a rally. today for the beginning part of the market. That's not what we were getting. Let's see if it reverses. All right, let's take a look at the sectors. And remember what I talked about early on in the day. I said, would any of these get towards the green, right? Well, energy slowly but surely trying to make its way back. Now it's only down 0.79, and it was the second leading down sector today, and now it's starting to make its way back here. So let's look at maybe some oil names coming back. XOM, Oxy, right? Look at Oxy take off. That one came down, washed out some of the bulls at the open, and then comes right back up. This is the type of action that I've been seeing countless times, guys, where if you're a bull and you're in this trade, you're like, yeah, it's looking good. You get the move to 6180s, and then what happens? It blows right through the support. And when a lot of times the traders are getting out right here, when you break through support, and then what are you seeing? Right after that, recovery and then a breakout. So that shows me more and more how these algos are just chopping up the retail trader out there. And it could be institutions. Don't get me wrong. It could be institutions that are chopping you up there. But a lot of the times it's going to be more algorithmic, the fast style trading that's just eating traders alive right now.
SNTI, by the way, new highs by 2 cents there, so it's still pretty strong here. So SNTI, just keep it on watch until the volume dries up. Sorry, I was watching the spot there. SNTI did do its push here, right to new highs, immediate pullback. See if this sets up for another curl. Might be better off buying that than the break itself. Mitch, I'm going to head out for the day. Have a good one. I hope your Finns are able to do it today.
I mean, I got to give it to them, regardless if they win this game or not. Going 3-0 against the teams that they started to play the season off, not a bad way to start the season, right?
No, definitely not. They're definitely a surprise. All right, folks, take care, everyone. Have a great day. You too, Jess. Take care of yourself. Stay green, stay safe, and we'll see you next time.
Have a good one, Ryan. Get you on out of here. All right, guys, we're going to keep going to Benzinga Live, but it's a tough day today as Apple starts heading back down. You could see the SPY start to drag again here as we almost made it back towards that 363.16. We got towards 363.07. Now we're starting to reject. This is where I was a little bit concerned. Would we reject from the VWAP or really kind of push above it? It looks like we're rejecting right now. I'm just going to keep watching that Apple. If it breaks through that low of 142.80, watch out. You get the SPY to follow along. So just don't want everybody to get like, rah bullish and then get caught too much. But like always, make your own decision here. But it's a tough day today. And I will remind, there's still a lot of red on out there, guys. I only have now, we had 4 stocks, so we have a little bit more. Now I have 9 stocks in the S&P 500 that are in the green versus 4, right? That's at least a little bit better. We'll see what happens here. Will we get a real push? So stocks that are green, I'm going to try to roll through them. Oxy, you got ROL, MKTX, RE, insurance stock, maybe a hurricane play here. Everest Realty Group, it's an insurance, a reinsurance play. STE, Visa, we saw do a little bit of a washout recovery. This is what I've been talking about often, these bullish patterns. A lot of the time they're getting washed out and then they recover. So I also talked about how it looked for maybe a MasterCard recovery today. Maybe that comes back when Visa finally gets that little lift. Netflix, we've talked about this one, was holding on. Where does it come back to? The 240. We talked about that. Was it going to break the 240 and hold down there? No, it went right to it. And what does it do? Recovers right back up, washing out those people that are kind of in the bearish mood, the people that are in the bullish move. Now it starts making the move. Netflix looking like one of the strongest stocks today. So if you want to take a look at something that has some relative strength, Netflix not being the bad one there. All right, let me go towards the stocks that you guys are looking at. Great show. Can't wait to get out of September, right? Wake me up when September ends. I was singing that song real early in the month, and it seems like it wasn't a bad song to sing in September. Any thoughts on DKNG? Kind of wish I would have sold at 19. Only have about 40 shares, holding the bag on the way down. Kills me to sell now, but not going to buy more at 15. I can't blame you, Bo. I can't tell you what to do. I can only tell you how I approach the stock, right? And so if you guys remember, I traded this one from 1380s up there towards the 17s, sold out towards that 17, missed the run towards 20. It came back into the area that I was looking at, which was around this 15 level, 16, to get back in for another little run. It made that run to 19. Now I'm starting to see what? Well, it's been 4 weeks into the NFL season. Now we're starting to get a little bit further away from the hype, the opening hype of the season, right? Well, to me, it could come back down, but like always, you got to make your own determination here. What you need is a move back above 16 and some catalyst that tells us that the kind of the gambling numbers are coming in really at a great rate. But I think you're going to start seeing that they're probably going to start trickling down, as a lot of kind of the newer gamblers, they like to play when the hype is hot. But as soon as they start losing and it's not so hyped because it's a couple of weeks into the NFL season, they usually disappear. And then you have the people that are just continuing to play the game. And we'll see what happens there in DraftKings. All right. Have a good one, Richard. Have a good one, Eric. Good to have you guys, like always, in the show. We're going to be wrapping up in just a few moments here. I'm going to try to get us as close to it as I can on Benzinga Live. That will be coming up next. All right, selling puts at support, then call spreads at resistance. Working great the last few weeks. Not a bad attempt there and not a bad strategy, Gene. But I have to take a look a little bit more on how that's working for you. If you ever feel the need, you want to come on and talk about it, feel free to reach on out. Is DK a shorted stock? Thanks so much for the time on DKNG. I'm not sure. DK? Oil gas refinery. I don't know about this one. The only thing I can tell you is the chart doesn't look too bad. At least the chart, it doesn't look bad at all, right? So this is the big time resistance. You've gotten above it a couple of times. So you know the rule of three, right? We're getting above there 3 times. We need to get one more move to get back through that. So today we were up there even towards, looks like 2850s, but it's just not holding on right now. So I would look to the left. What are some levels I don't want to see broken again? Well, I don't want to see this kind of 26 level broken again. It can pull back a little bit here towards 26.75. Eventually, we want to see it through that 29 level and getting on up through the 30. If it can get on up there towards the 30, this is going to be looking great. But of course, what do you need? You need oil and gas to kind of start making a move, and you need stocks like Valero not to turn around. This was one of the areas that is in refinery and marketing that got a good spike yesterday. Look for Valero maybe to have a good day tomorrow. Right now, it's kind of in this inside candle. It's okay to close it in an inside candle. Just look for it to see if tomorrow it can take out that high, and then I would be looking at DK. Okay, now we can maybe look to see if we can take out the 29. Relationships. I always try to focus on where the stocks are in, what industry, what sector, how are those moving. That can help you out. Try to find the move. Happy to come on the show sometimes. Love you guys. Hey, Gene, well, feel free. I have no problem. You can reach out to Ryan. Ryan put up his email a little bit earlier, or you could reach out to me, Mitch at benzinga.com, or just hit me up on my Twitter at MoneyMitchBZ. Let me know, hey, I want to come on, speak about this. Hey, the floor is just as your guys' as it is mine. If you guys want to come and use the floor to talk about how your trading is going, or maybe some of the trends that you're seeing, especially here on live trading, why not? That's what it's all about. You guys run the show also. That's why we keep up with the chat the whole time that we're trying to trade versus just ignoring you guys and telling you the positions that we're opening, right? That's how a lot of kind of the live trading streams happen around. They kind of ignore the chat and they come back to it every now and then. We try to do our best to try to pay attention to you guys just as much as we're trying to talk about what we see. Bonus DK thoughts. Never even knew about DK. That's what I'm here for. At the end of the day, I don't know about this stock either, really, but I can take a look always. And one of the things that I like doing is looking at relative to the industry, right? So when we look at a name like DK, we want to take a look at the industry leaders. How are those doing, right? Because if those are not doing well, should we really expect the overall industry to do like have a smashing results, yet your leader is not doing well. Well, that's a good way to look at it, right? If your leader is doing really well, well, maybe that can continue. Even and I'm sorry to put it like this, sometimes when you have a leader breaking out, even a crappy stock in the industry can get a little bit of a lift just because the leader is getting that kind of lift. Don't want to kind of bash some companies, so I'll try not to mention companies here, even though I could get into that, but there's no really need to it. All right. Is there a roadmap scheduled for 2 p.m. today? I'm pretty sure. Got to get an ortho appointment, messing up my normal BZ schedule. I hear you, Shannon. You don't want all that. I'll check in on the roadmap guys in a second here, and I'll try to get you an answer. Oh, I know what's going on. So I don't think there will be a show today. The biggest thing with that is Alyssa is struggling with the hurricane. So we don't know how her internet's going to be. So I'll try to get back to you if I can somehow make it happen. But for right now, I wouldn't expect the roadmap to be coming on at 2 p.m. today. Hurricane affecting that. All right, let's keep going. Let's take a look at what else you guys are calling out there. What about Snap? Think it could free fall below 10 even? Yeah, I think it could. The biggest thing with Snap is, and I think you're going to see this with a lot of the social medias, is they're coming for them, right? There's a lot of kind of regulation that started looking into Facebook, started looking into the data sharing that's out there, right? You hear a lot of mentions of, I don't think it's going to happen, but a lot of people mentioning that TikTok might get shut down because where their data sharing is doing or what kind of policies they're following, right? So I think a lot of this, what's going to happen here is government regulation is going to destroy these social apps because they keep jumping into these social apps and kind of calling them out for what they're doing, right? Whether it be kind of a Facebook practice on targeting on ads, whether it be kind of different social medias kind of giving you different kind of standards to follow now. Well, Snap is definitely one of these that I feel like they changed their story for a little bit there. They started using different advertising. They were doing different shows and contents that were working well on Snap because they were really short form content. But what ended up happening there is TikTok came in here and it's leading this short form content game. Slowly but surely, Snap is still being used, but a lot of this is to do what? Well, to use a lot of their kind of the AR features. And slowly but surely, you're going to see what? Different camera services, different apps, giving you more of those AR features. So I think in their competitive advantage right now, which is, I would say, kind of taking pictures with kind of all those kind of filters that they have, is slowly going to go away. And when that goes away, what happens here? Well, they're no longer a big leader. And I think Snap eventually will get down there towards $6, $5. It's just going to be a target for someone to grab it. I think eventually it could even be under kind of the Meta portfolio. But right now, Snap, not something I'm liking. And just like I don't really like Twitter here. I know that a lot of people are looking at it for kind of the Elon saga, but I wouldn't be liking Twitter at all here. Plug going to fill the gap. It's a hard one to take a look at. How about some coffee for the cold winter? Starbucks is not one I like. I think that's more of a shorting opportunity, but I've talked about that countless times. It is in a little bit of an uptrend. It's holding right now. So you'd want to see it kind of hold this trend line. And you can see it's holding right now, that 85 kind of support now. Let's see if it holds and gets back to 91. If you're a bull, that's what you'd want to see. Plug power. I did see Credit Suisse talk about green hydrogen and how it's really kind of getting some lift. Well, Plug should get the lift from that, right? They've been trying to get this kind of green hydrogen outlook for a long time. Now, one thing that I would say about Plug is that even if for some reason we really start moving towards hydrogen, what's going to happen first? Well, let's just be honest. Right now, the charging stations are the focus, right, of these EVs shift. Well, I think this is going to be the first restructuring, right? There's going to be a restructuring where a whole bunch of charging stations are set across the United States. They're not going to also just start switching all the fuel to kind of green hydrogen. That's not going to happen, guys. I think it's going to take a long time for green hydrogen to take really kind of place in this market and drive it. So I think Credit Suisse has this one wrong. But like always, you guys can do your own research to take a look into that topic. I think it's going to take like at least 10 years at the minimum for them to get through that kind of EV wave and then to focus on green hydrogen, right? They're not going to do all these charging infrastructure moves and then quickly pivot towards green hydrogen. It wouldn't make sense. There's no point in doing the charging stations then. Let's just go and do green hydrogen everywhere. This is why I would call that question on Credit Suisse. And why I think you'll see Plug not being able to hold the move there and FSIL not being able to hold the move. All right, last one I'm going to go ahead and talk about, and then I'll be starting to wrap on up here as we're seeing the market just kind of battle. Let's go back to the SPY. Let's go back to Apple. Let's see what's going on with these names. Looks like they're just battling sideways. Apple's been battling sideways for over an hour now and looks like it wants to take out the lows now. This is not a good sign here. This is going to probably break us down. And you can see the SPY actually made it to the VWAP, got above there, and now heading right back down. This was my concern. If you kept seeing a weak Apple, look for Tesla to do the same move. That's because that's going to be the concern, right? Tesla did do the mean reversion trade that we talked about, moved back up towards the VWAP. Now it's probably getting a little bit sold off here towards 270. Apple just hit a new low on Apple. Watch out, guys. Look how the SPY is going to try to maybe follow down. And it's not looking good for me today, at least if I'm a bull. And that's the way I feel. But to each his own. All right, we'll see what happens on out there. Yep, 10 years minimum. FSIL is a prime example that it's not working currently. Agree. And Shannon, I hate to hear about your knee. I hope that you're able to battle through it. I've been actually battling to try to build up my knee strength. Knees over toes guy. I don't know if you ever heard of him. I've been using some of his workout routines to kind of build up my leg strength because I'm going back into trying to live my athlete days and going back to kind of some recreational baseball leagues. So I've been working on getting back into shape. And with that being said, got to build up that knee strength so I don't end up hurting myself. But happy to definitely kind of give you the insight on that one. Definitely look into knees over toes. But I hate to hear that you're having knee issues. That's definitely not fun. Oil companies to invest in EVs, they play us on both sides. I agree. I think oil companies will be, but they're going to battle back on something like green hydrogen, right? They're not going to be so willing to try to push on green hydrogen. EMPA is going to give up the bottom. Thought it was in favor, but guess the PE is getting noticed. No, I don't think it's the PE that's getting noticed. I think it's just a matter of time, right? So these solar stocks have been, massively appreciated since, of course, the Climate Act, right? And where you saw these companies get some lift. Now, there's eventually going to be a pullback. These have been holding up. These are the ones that have been really kind of giving the push in technology. When the solars pull back, watch out because you're going to get some downside action. But I can see EMPH filling in this kind of shadow zone. It hasn't come down there before, but it could come back down there, find some support, and then eventually come back through the 300 as it's pulling back towards its 276 right now. And it looks like we're going to get a test towards the 274s. Let's see what happens there. A lot of air under the 270. Yeah, there's the gap zone. So I would see an actual gap filling there, Super SPACman, and then maybe it making a move back up. My belly is over my toes. Seek that could be an issue, man. If you can't see your toes anymore, that's not a good move. QQQ might test June lows today or tomorrow. Let's take a look at the Qs, right? SPY going down there fast there. Let's put AAA. Let's do QQQ. Let's take a look at the daily and see where we're at. Are we going to get back down towards those lows? The June lows I have as 269.28. Let's actually put this right on there. and it's 28. So I got you right now, guys. Let's do that. And we're going to do a little bit of a thicker line to remind us that this is an important line to keep on watch. Let's go towards the 4-hour chart. And you can see here that we were in kind of an hourly range here. I'll go to the hour chart so that we can see this a little bit bigger. Let me make it full screen here. Hourly range on the Qs, right? Cracking through. Wasn't able to get back above the 280s and actually hold up there. And then now we crack through this kind of support down at 272s. If it cracks there and actually starts holding down here, we could be right back down towards those 269.28s. I ate because I'm unhappy. I'm unhappy because I eat. I know the life. I actually just weighed myself the other day and hit my top weight I've ever hit. Even though I've been doing a little bit of exercise, it's not like I've been lazy, but hey, you know how it is. Those cookies, they'll get to you. I can't turn around a good cookie. Milk Bar in New York. Oh, that was amazing. If you've never been to Milk Bar in New York, shout out to Christina Tosi. All right, it's 11:18. I didn't even play music today. I'm sorry about that, guys. I didn't get the tunes going here, but I'm going to go ahead and wrap up the day. Get ready for stock market movers that will be coming at 1 p.m. Like always, guys, we'll have some great guests on today. Don't miss that. Up next, you guys got Benzinga Live. You don't want to miss that. Today on Stock Market Movers, I'll have Sean Richards, freelance economist from the UK. We'll ask him questions on what? The Bank of England, of course. We'll definitely be hitting those questions hard. If you guys have any question for, of course, if you guys have a question here for Sean, definitely throw it up in the chat or hit me up on my Twitter. I'll make sure that I reach out to him. And then another great guest, Lance Roberts, chief strategist of RIA Advisor. He was even looking at to see if we'd get the bounce. So I'll ask Robert questions on the overall market, what he sees trending and what he can see towards the end of the year. So if you guys have a question on that, also reach out. I'm here for you guys to try to get you guys expert opinions to keep you guys in the informational edge. If I can just help keep you guys in tune with the market, well, I'm doing my job, and then it's going to be up to you guys, like always, to make your investment decisions. That's what I'm here for. Trying to put a light on the industry so that you guys can find out what seems to stick, what seems to not stick, what should I maybe keep an eye out, and then of course, watch out, because we got to make decisions. That's what traders do. What the good traders are doing is what they're able to stick to their decision-making process. So understand how your decision-making happens. Am I being objective? Am I being subjective? This is how you're going to go ahead and expand your trading game. If you're being subjective, well, it's going to be very hard to stick to what I call the mathematical advantage, right? Is getting yourself in the right risk to reward consistently is going to get you the probability to get into the green. Now, when you start going away from the mathematical advantage because you're going more based on emotions or just instinctual moves, that's when it gets a little bit tougher as a trader to continuously have repeated results. I wish you guys the best. Keep working to build your skills. Find whatever it is. Maybe it's the Benzinga Trading School. Maybe it's learning the CMT kind of environment. Maybe that's what you need to do. Maybe you got to read the big books, right? Look into the technicals, learn fundamentals right now. I think one of the biggest skills that you guys can be learning right now is really asking the question, do I know how to look into an earnings report and find where the strengths and weaknesses are in a company? And if I don't know how to look at an earnings report, how can I learn this? Can be a big skill to have the next time we're in a bull market. Wish you guys the best. Hit the thumbs on up. And I definitely want to see some likes, guys. I've been trying to give a lot of information to help you guys today. So if you guys could do me the favor now, just bring back that appreciation by hitting the thumbs on up. I'll see you guys next time. Keep battling in the markets. We'll see what happens. Up next, you guys have, of course, Benzinga Live. And then after that, I'll come back with Stock Market Movers and try to ask some tough questions to get into what we're seeing in this market. Hit the like on your way out. Hit the subscribe bell to be notified the moment that we go live. A lot of people like to tell us, you're late, you're late. Well, if you hit that bell, I'll tell you exactly when we go live.
check.